Our MC, Bai Yi, is the leader of a proficient awakened team called the Divine Corps. Due to the existence of magic in this world, demons and their caves appeared. In reaction to demons appearing, those with special powers like Bai Yi awakened. His team is the strongest in the organization, and they are on a mission to exterminate the Demon King, Belphegor. Belphegor is a triple S-class demon with 5 elements, making him a tough opponent. Bai Yi and other awakened warriors receive their instructions from the highest authorities, the gods. As they enter the cave, Bai Yi screams at the top of his voice to inform his squad members that the mission has begun. Because of how proficient Bai Yi's team is, this is the 100th high-level demonic cave they will be challenging. Among his team are Ling Yue, Han Xiaoling, and Lucian. Because of how tough the mission is predicted to be, it was designated as an L-class purge operation, which is the highest ranking level. However, the team members are all excited to take on the mission, since they have been promised a vacation once they clear the demon cave and take out the Demon King, Belphegor. In perfect sync, the team unleashes their powers onto the attacking demons to exterminate them. Bai Yi leads the attack as they easily cut through the demons with their swift and precise attacking mode. This is made possible since all members of the Divine Corps, from Bai Yi himself to the last person, are all L-rank warriors. Within a few minutes of precise coordination, the team clears the cave and wipes out the Demon King Belphegor. The team members excitedly talk about how easy it was for them to clear the cave. However, Lucian is skeptical about the whole operation. He feels like it is too easy since the mission was an L-rank mission. Even Bai Yi agrees with what Lucian said. The intel he got was that the Demon King was a special Demon King with 5 elements and a hidden skill. While he is trying to analyze what might be wrong, Ling Yue hugs him from behind, asking him if he is going to treat them to a feast, since they are done with the mission. Tired of having Ling Yue all around him, he pushes her away while telling her and the rest of the team that they are going to have dinner at their usual spot. On the other hand, Han cannot believe that their captain is throwing away a golden chance to have fun with Ling Yue. Just then, they notice that the last member of their team is not with them. He didn't help during the fight, and he is also nowhere to be seen. The team doesn't take this seriously since they have cleared the mission already. Speaking of the devil, he appears behind, but something unexpected follows. He boldly raises his hand and declares the start of the purge operation. Suddenly, Han gets hit in the head with a projectile, instantly killing him. Shock runs through the rest of the team as they see Han hit the ground dead. Half of his head is gone, and his blood spills all over the floor. The team is still in shock when the traitor reveals that he has been assigned the purge mission by God himself. Bai Yi notices that he can't move his body, and the traitor reveals that Bai Yi and the others have been eating breakfasts which were laced with paralytic powder for the past month. The traitor then holds the rest of the team with his divine skill called Forbidden Vines. This restricts their movement, giving the traitor a free rein to explain things to them. The traitor explains that he was assigned the mission to wipe out the team, and to do this, he needed to prepare. While he is arrogantly explaining, Bai Yi and the others are just asking him why he has betrayed them. The traitor replies that it is the gods' decree to wipe out the L-class warriors. The traitor tightens the grip on Bai Yi and the others, forcing them to scream in pain. They slowly lose consciousness as they cough up blood while they keep asking their bad teammate why he betrayed them. Bai Yi reminds the guy that the Divine Corps never crossed any lines that deserve death. Since they have been following all the rules laid down for them, Bai Yi wants to know why they had to die. The traitor arrogantly tells them that the god doesn't need any reason to kill them. The traitor walks close to Bai Yi, and after choking him with his vines, he punctures his chest with his fist. Bai Yi cannot get over the act of betrayal since he already considered the traitor a part of his family. After all, the team has been together for 10 years, and they are practically inseparable. The traitor laughs at Bai Yi for being naive. He tells him that he was never a family to him because, since the first time he joined the Divine Corps, he has been on a mission for the gods. Basically, Bai Yi and his team are just pawns in the hands of the gods. The traitor joined the team to study them, and he played along so well. Bai Yi and the team finally lose whatever life force they have left in them and crash to the ground. The traitor proudly stands above the blood and finishes Bai Yi off with a shot to the head. And on that day, which is May 22nd of the year 2125, Bai Yi and his team of L-class warriors were killed. Their bodies lie across the ground as the traitor walks off in preparation for his vacation. As Bai Yi's consciousness seeps into the abyss, he suddenly hears a voice demanding that they make a deal. Bai Yi is shocked when he sees himself in chains and in an unfamiliar environment. Standing in front of him is a creepy guy in a suit, and he has a dark aura around him. Bai Yi takes a closer look and realizes that the dude standing in front of him is Belphegor, the Demon King. He wonders how the Demon King is alive. Belphegor teases Bai Yi, telling him that a Demon King with high ranks like him would not die that easily. Apparently they are in his soul domain, and the entire kingdom is his life force. Tired of hearing the Demon King chatter, Bai Yi suggests that they get down to business. Since Bai Yi is obviously angry at what happened, the Demon King proposes a deal. Belphegor reveals that his hidden skill is called life regression. He lets Bai Yi know that he can send him to the past, giving him the chance to change the outcome of things. He asks Bai Yi if he is interested, and after a quick reminder of how his team died at the hands of the traitor, Bai Yi doesn't hesitate before agreeing to the Demon King's proposition. He is burning with rage as he swears to kill the traitor and the entire League of Gods, giving him instructions. The Demon King is pleased with Bai Yi's answer, and in addition to helping him, the Demon King grants Bai Yi one more gift, which is Belphegor's heart. Bai Yi then asks the Demon King why he is making a deal with him, but he ignores the question before Bai Yi gets sent off. When our guy opens his eyes, he finds himself in class with his teacher, Huang, yelling at him. Bai Yi has gone back 20 years to the year 2105. This was 20 years ago, when Bai Yi was still in the middle school division of the nation's Awakened Academy. Bai Yi is surprised to see that he truly came back to the past, which is before his awakening. The teacher scolds Bai Yi for sleeping in class, and most importantly, a class that is before his awakening ceremony. To punish him, the teacher orders him to go stand in the back of the classroom. Still in shock about being reborn with Belphegor's ability, he slowly walks to the back of the class. He stares at his classmates, whom he hasn't seen in nearly 20 years. The teacher continues the lesson, explaining to the class that there are 5 elemental powers in their world. The 5 elemental powers are lightning, flower, cloud, nuclear, and stellar. Apparently, one person can only contain one element. The teacher uses herself as an example, telling the students that she possesses the rarest cloud element. She then adds that the elements are divided into categories depending on how they bond with the body. The 3 categories are combat, support, and special. In her explanation, she lets the students know that each team comprises the 5 elements with different roles. The school's guild team is a prime example of that, since it consists of a stellar mage, a cloud warrior, a nuclear bard, and a lightning assassin. The teacher commends the students for being rare among the many and lets them know that the awakening day is the most important day in their lives. Apparently, there are nearly 100 known awakened professions. These professions are ranked from the lowest, which is dust, to celestial, which is the highest. In between dust and celestial are ember and the abyss ranks. To make it interesting, the students have just one chance at an awakening. She lets them know that the status they awaken with is going to determine how their life is going to play out. After class, the students step out to prepare for the awakening. Bai Yi then runs into one of his classmates, whom he usually calls Four Eyes because he wears glasses. Four Eyes is being bullied by an annoying dude, Hong Sheng. Hong is an E-rank stellar assassin, which makes him the hot stuff among his peers. Bai Yi is not surprised to see this because even in his past life, Hong was always bullying people and getting into fights. Before Hong and stress Four Eyes any longer, the teacher appears on the scene. She tells Hong that they are in a school, not a place where he can bully and rob people. Hong arrogantly tries to change the narrative as he tells the teacher that Four Eyes was the one who bumped into him. He claims he is only taking his money as compensation for this. He boldly tells Huang that he would have gotten her fired if not for the fact that she is hot. After he's had enough, he and his goons prepare to leave. He sees Bai Yi in his way, and with no regard for the poor boy, he shoves him out of the way. Bai Yi doesn't do anything rash, but instead takes a look at how the teacher is checking on Four Eyes. Apparently, Huang is a good teacher who cares for her students even though she looks tough on the outside. Bai Yi remembers Huang helping him out in his past life after he awakened. Just then, Huang is informed that it is her class's turn to enter the awakening chamber. Just like a mother, Huang tells her students to stay calm during the awakening to avoid injuries. In this world, there are 2 awakening methods. There is a natural method of awakening method, like the one Hong awakened with, which is why he is a prideful duck. The natural method of awakening usually happens in people with strong physical constitutions and natural talent, and the awakening process automatically activates during extreme emotional moments. The other awakening method is considered the artificial method, where those with the potential enter the awakening chamber. The chamber is the product of several knowledgeable scientists, and inside the chamber, emotions and adrenaline are intensely stimulated. This stimulation then forces the dormant awakening inside the potential candidates to activate. Because of how it happens only once, it is considered the only way for one to turn their life around. Some of Bai Yi's classmates entered the awakening chamber before him and got nice professions. One awakened with the blue tier profession, which is the Ember class. Finally, it reaches Bai Yi's turn, and the teacher tells him to focus while he is in the chamber. Bai Yi acknowledges his teacher's instruction and proceeds into the chamber. In his past life, Bai Yi awakened as an E-rank nuclear warrior. This is under the dust tier class, and it is considered the trashiest profession. His awakening back then led to constant bullying, but it wasn't until he reached S rank that he awakened the rarest type. Upon entering the chamber, Bai Yi is expecting to get a trash profession as usual. However, he is utterly shocked when the system displays an error message. The chamber kicks into activation mode and detects 5 elements instead of the usual one. Bai Yi can feel his insides burning hot as the system displays the infinite awakening message. The system informs Bai Yi that he can choose any class from any of the 5 elemental types as his initial class. Bai Yi further learns that he can upgrade the other class once his initial class has reached the maximum potential. Bai Yi is shocked when he realizes that he has just been granted elemental accumulation. Apparently, he can choose other new classes in the future. He can even obtain the dust rank up to the celestial rank while maintaining their qualities. Bai Yi also has the chance to unlock the hidden rank above the celestial rank. It then dawns on Bai Yi that he can do all these because of the gift given to him by the Demon King. He was given the ability of infinite awakenings, which is something unheard of. The system then tells Bai Yi that all other elemental bars will be cleared once he selects his initial class. After carefully taking his time, Bai Yi picks his class. He steps outside with the teacher, excited to hear what class he awakened with. Bai Yi subtly tells Huang the disappointing news that he awakened with Nuclear Warrior, which is the worst quality in the green class. Huang is thrown aback by this, but because of how good she is, she still encourages Bai Yi, telling him that great men have also emerged from the green class. She urges Bai Yi not to give up, but Bai Yi humbly tells her that there is no need for her to comfort him. Huang hears the conversation between the two, and just as expected, he pokes his nose into it. He trashes Bai Yi, telling him that the teacher is only giving him false hopes. He adds that reality is different from what the teacher is trying to preach. Hong reminds Bai Yi that the dust class basically means he is at the bottom of the food chain. Hong continues with his arrogant behavior as he tells Bai Yi that the gods choose those who are strong, while the weak ones are to be trampled upon. Hearing the mention of the gods immediately triggers Bai Yi. However, he remains calm as Hong continues with his nonsense talks. He reminds Bai Yi that he will have to start sitting in the back row in classes because this is just how society works. Apparently, the celestial ranks sit at the front, followed by the abyss rank, followed by the ember rank, and finally the dust rank. Dust rank warriors are considered to be trash, and can only do business with other low-tier ranks like themselves. Hong adds that there is no way for Bai Yi to change his fate through hard work, as this is considered a waste of time. Hong moves closer to Huang to talk trash to her, but Bai Yi has finally had enough. He grabs the coffee cup that Hong is holding and spills the contents on his face. Hong is hit with a moment of shock as he doesn't want to believe what just happened. He angrily asks Bai Yi what he thinks he is doing, and our guy replies that his voice is like noise to him. Bai Yi's acts and words are enough to get on Hong's nerves, and he decides that Bai Yi needs to be taught a lesson. He aims a punch at Bai Yi, and Huang tries to stop him, but it is too late. Unknown to him, Bai Yi is already prepared for him. Before the attack hits, he conjures a light sword and uses it to block Hong's attack. He doesn't stop there, but he then parries the attack, throwing Hong into the distance to everyone's shock. Hong crashes into the ground while Bai Yi's pose shows that he used little to minimal damage. Hong coughs up blood as he tries to grasp the reality of what happened to him. Even the other students who are watching cannot believe what they just saw. Apparently, Bai Yi intentionally chose the Nuclear Warrior class because he is used to it already. This was his class in his past life, and he already knows everything related to the class. Hong manages to stand back on his feet, and he arrogantly tells Bai Yi that he just got lucky. He mentions the fact that he is an abyss rank and why he is absolutely different from trash people like Bai Yi. Huang, who has a keen eye, figures out that Bai Yi didn't get lucky with what he did to Hong. She realizes that Bai Yi just used a top-tier movement skill, which is exclusive to the warrior class. Huang knows that the parry skill is a skill that allows the wielder to nullify an attack while reflecting the full attack back to the opponent. Huang is shocked to see Bai Yi easily pull off something like this because this is a skill her master couldn't even pull off after 10 years of hard practice. Huang is more puzzled by the fact that Bai Yi just awakened, and he already has access to such a high combat experience. Huang is lost in thought about this when Hong unleashes a short sword, ready to take Bai Yi down with it. Hong is now really mad, and he assures Bai Yi that he is going to embarrass him in front of everyone. Bai Yi just stands there, cool as a hero, while also revealing that he intentionally picked the dust class. He knows that in the near future, all those who are criticizing will end up seeing the great side of the dust class. But by that time, it will be too late. The students are already hyped as the two stand in front of each other in a fighting pose. However, it is forbidden to fight with powers in the school. Hong's father is an important official, and his uncle is even the school's dean. Bai Yi, on the other hand, has no reputable family, meaning he has everything to lose if he fights Hong. Four Eyes fears that he is going to get expelled if he takes the bait and fights Hong. He asks the teacher what to do, and the teacher quickly takes the initiative. She steps in, telling the two to hold it off, but Hong is utterly pissed already. He wants to get back at Bai Yi for humiliating him in front of everyone in the school. Hong threatens to still beat Bai Yi up even if he gets on his knees and starts begging for forgiveness. He sees himself at the highest pinnacle of talent, while Bai Yi is nothing but a loser. The teacher also knows that Hong is right since the difference in attributes between the two students is great. Hong is an Abyss rank warrior, which gives him a 200% boost in all of his attributes. Abyss ranks are way up because the moment they awaken, their attributes are double that of a Dust rank. They can also grow, while the Dust rank remains stagnant. None of those who are watching, including Four Eyes, believes that Bai Yi has a chance. They assume he is going to get crushed by Hong. Four Eyes agrees that Hong is a disgusting person, but Four Eyes has been surviving by playing the fool alongside the strong just to avoid getting into problems. He believes that avoiding Hong is the only way to survive since a head-on clash will only lead to an unpleasant end. Once he is done weighing up his opponent, Hong runs toward him. The teacher is worried as she screams at Bai Yi to watch out. The teacher assumes that Bai Yi is planning to parry Hong's attack again. She knows that this might not work since the parry skill consumes a lot of stamina when used. The rate at which Hong is coming at Bai Yi will make the parry useless. Even Hong is confident that he has the advantage over Bai Yi. Bai Yi, on the other hand, just smiles like nothing serious is coming his way. Bai Yi has no interest in dodging the attack since he has another card up his sleeve. Just as Hong reaches him, he activates the Flash Blink skill. This is an instantaneous flash effect that allows the wielder to pass through obstacles in front of them. It is over in the blink of an eye, and before Hong knows it, Bai Yi has hit him in a vital part of his body. He coughs up blood while trying to ascertain when Bai Yi got behind him. He slams the ground in frustration and humiliation, while the students are left in total disbelief. None of those watching was able to catch a glimpse of what Bai Yi did to Hong. The only thing they saw was Hong crashing to the ground, and even the teacher had no idea what had happened. However, the class president, Chi Yin, actually caught a glimpse of what Bai Yi did to Hong. Chi Yin realizes that Bai Yi has mastered the highest level usage of a warrior's basic skill, and he applied it during the fight with Hong. Meanwhile, the students are all questioning what is wrong with Hong. On the status screen, Bai Yi notices that one of his attributes has increased because he defeated an opponent. However, he is not impressed with the awarded points as he considers them too few. He knows that defeating demons is the only way for him to get higher points, and he plans to get down to this as soon as he can. Still struggling on the floor, Hong is not ready to give up. He tells Bai Yi not to leave, as he is not done with him yet. He grabs his knife and tries to get Bai Yi from behind, but before he can reach our guy, they hear a voice telling them to stop the fight. It turns out to be the school dean, Hong Lian, who is Hong's uncle. Lian mocks Hong, telling him that he has made a fool of himself already, and he tells the students watching to head home so that they can rest. At the mention of the word home, it registers in Bai Yi's head that he has a home. He didn't remember this because he had just been reborn, and his parents had already died in his past life. He remembers that something tragic happened on that very day of his awakening, and before the dean can even get the chance to address him, he frantically dashes off. Even Hong is shocked as the boy runs away from the scene. The dean is short of words, but eventually turns to Huang, telling her to get her student under control. He promises to look over what happened, and Huang thanks him for his consideration. Later, Hong follows his uncle to his office to try and justify what happened. He claims that Bai Yi only got lucky, but his uncle screams at him, telling him that Bai Yi utterly humiliated him. Lian stood in the distance and witnessed Bai Yi use the flash blink against Hong. Lian explains to Hong that in that split second, Bai Yi found his weakest point and struck it to leave Hong defenseless. The dean is pissed because even with his experience, he cannot execute the flash skill with such proficiency. The dean compares Hong's battle with Bai Yi to that of a pro gamer toying with a noob. Lian lets his nephew know that, with what he saw, Bai Yi is not an ordinary kid. On the other hand, Bai Yi is rushing while thinking of how important it is for him to get to the house. He manages to reach the apartment building in no time while remembering how things went down in his past life. He is ready to stop this from happening again, even if he dies in the process. Bai Yi enters the house while his father is watching TV and his mother is doing the dishes. Bai Yi looks pissed as he enters the house, but his father is surprised that he came home early from class. Bai Yi ignores his father and focuses his attention on his mother. With tears in his eyes, he talks about how glad he is that his mother is fine. His mother is dumb, and she communicates with Bai Yi using sign language. She tells Bai Yi that she made his favorite, which is the hot and sour noodles. But Bai Yi immediately tells his mother that he is not interested in noodles for the day. He lets her know that what he wants to eat is pickled fish. Bai Yi's mother tries arguing with him, but finally caves in when she realizes how stubborn her son is. She agrees to get the pickled fish, and Bai Yi opts to follow her, but his father stops him, telling him that his mother can get the ingredients by herself. He wonders why Bai Yi came back and didn't even bother to greet him. He stands up and strolls to where he keeps his alcohol and asks Bai Yi how his awakening went. He is already eager to hear what his son awakened with. It turns out that Bai Yi's father, Bai Ling Sheng, is a class electric warrior. He is a fairly strong person, which makes him dangerous. Bai Yi then tells his father that he didn't awaken that day because things took too long. His father demands to know why he came back home early if he had not awakened. He is aware that his friend's son has awakened, but he is disappointed with the class he awakened with. Ling Sheng, on the other hand, expects his son to awaken with the Abyss rank. Ling Sheng claims he awakened with Abyss rank back in his day, and he has also poured his sweat and blood into raising Bai Yi. Ling Sheng is pissed, and with a scary aura swirling around him, he asks his son to reveal what he awakened with. Bai Yi is totally engulfed in his father's aura, and he tries lying again that he hasn't awakened. This only makes the man even angrier, and just as the perfect father he is, he smashes the drink bottle on Bai Yi's head. When he finally learns that Bai Yi awakened with the dust rank, he gets more furious as he yells at Bai Yi. Ling Sheng is known to be a violent man who can't get his emotions under control. Back in Bai Yi's past life, after he found out that he had awakened as a dust rank, he got furious and embarrassed. He went the violent way and hit Bai Yi, but his mother stepped in just like she always does. Bai Yi couldn't do anything since he was a weak boy and could only watch as his old man beat his mother for a whole hour. The beating was so much that his mother was left mentally unstable because she got hit in the head. Bai Yi could only cry as he watched his mother get battered in his previous life. However, now that he is reborn, he aims to change things. Although he still doesn't have what it takes to challenge his father, since he obviously is going to need time to level up. His father is stronger than he is, since he is a C-rank Abyss class warrior. Bai Yi can't hope to get anywhere with the same tactics he used against Hong at school. His father is on a different level with real combat experience to boot. Bai Yi comes to the sad realization that he doesn't have what it takes to touch his father yet. His father grabs him by his hair while ranting about how much he regrets that he allowed Bai Yi to be born. Bai Yi knows that he is in a deep mess because his father will definitely not let him go until he gets a satisfying result. After all, he came home early to wait for him. Knowing fully well that his father is violent, he didn't want his mother to stay around and witness everything unfold. Bai Yi is glad that he got his mother out of the house, but while he is rejoicing in his inner head, a physical blow lands on his head. Things immediately go from bad to worse when Bai Yi hears someone enter the house. It turns out to be his mother, whom he is trying so hard to stop from witnessing the violence. His mother is horrified at the state in which she met his son. He is on the ground while Ling Sheng is pounding his head like it is nothing. Apparently, Bai Yi's mum ran as quickly as she could so she could feed her hungry son, and this is why she returned home so fast. Bai Yi is terrified at the sight of seeing his mother back in the house as he wonders if history is about to repeat itself. Just as expected, Ling Sheng turns his attention toward the poor woman, ready to do whatever he deems fit for her. In a flashback, Bai Yi is sitting in a prison cell. Apparently, Bai Yi was able to advance from a green tier to a platinum tier in his past life, making him the first to do so. Because of how impressive this feat is, his cellmate wonders why he was arrested and brought to prison. It is not just any prison, but a place where inmates who have been sentenced to die. The only statement that came out of Bai Yi's mouth was that he deserved to die because he beat his mother to death. He apparently killed his father because of what he did to his mother, which is why he was sentenced to death. Now in the present, history is about to repeat itself right in front of his eyes. Ling Sheng continues displaying his act of madness, while Bai Yi's mother runs over to check on his son. Bai Yi considers himself a bit stronger than an ordinary person because there is no way an ordinary person could survive the punch his father hit him with. His mother tries to help him up while also shielding him from his angry father. Ling Sheng continues with his rant, telling his wife that he was happy the day he found out that she was pregnant. He believed that it was finally time for the Bai family to shine again since his other two siblings couldn't produce a son. He believed the ancestors were relying on him to restore the family's glory now that his wife is pregnant. However, he is utterly disgusted by what came after. His son, whom he put so much hope on, awakened with the worst class of all, which is the dust rank. Ling Sheng screams at his wife while reminding her that Bai Yi can't even advance with his rank because it is a trash class. Ling Sheng then blames everything on his wife, saying Bai Yi awakened with such trash class because of her genes. Ling Sheng loses it and raises his hand to hit the woman, but Bai Yi is not going to allow this to happen. He uses Flash Blink to pass through his mother and block his father's attack. Ling Sheng is thrown backwards and smiles at his son, trying to act heroic. Bai Yi's mother is worried because she knows what is coming next. Ling Sheng gets back on his feet as he arrogantly walks toward his son with the intention to beat him to a pulp. Bai Yi plans to use the parry attack on his father, but before he gets the chance to even activate the skill, his father's punch reaches him, breaks through his sword, and lands on his face. Bai Yi spills blood everywhere with the bitter realization that the power gap between him and his father is great. Before he even gets the chance to breathe, another punch comes at him. He blocks this with his hands, but the shock still reaches his body, affecting his ribs. Ling Sheng then cooks up another powerful strike to put his son in his place. He is mad that his son already has the guts to defy him. Bai Yi sees the punch coming but doesn't have what it takes to dodge or even block it. He only covers his head with his hands as the blow lands on him. Ling Sheng tells Bai Yi that he deserves to die because he awakened with a useless class. However, Bai Yi is still standing as he is not ready to allow history to repeat itself. Ling Sheng gets angrier as he sees Bai Yi standing up to him. He mocks him, asking him if he thinks he is the real deal because he just awakened. Ling Sheng grabs a chair, ready to smash his son with it. Bai Yi's mother holds his son as they both brace up to be hit. Just then, they hear a commanding voice from the outside, demanding that they open the door. Ling Sheng is disappointed that someone just came from nowhere to disturb what he has going on. On the other hand, Bai Yi's mother is holding her son in relief that they are able to catch a break. However, it is not a surprise to Bai Yi that someone is knocking as he is behind it. Ling Sheng acts all tough, opening the door until he realizes those who are at the door. Two dudes who look tough stand in front of the door and ask Ling Sheng why it took him so long to open up. The two dudes are Liang and Chen Jinwu. The two are inspectorate investigators. Liang is the deputy captain, and he is red A rank, while Chen Jinwu is blue C rank. Ling Sheng is shocked to see the two, and while trembling, he asks them what they are doing at the house. Liang shows him a picture of a wanted criminal named Snow, asking Ling Sheng if he has seen him. Apparently, the office got a call that Snow was seen around the building. This is why the cops are conducting a house-to-house search to try and confirm if the report is true. Ling Sheng is relieved to hear that he is not the reason why the two are there. He immediately smiles while telling them that he has not seen Snow. Since Snow is popular and he is always appearing on TV, he assures them that he would definitely report it if he ever ran into him. Just then, Liang notices that Bai Yi is in bad shape. He asks Ling Sheng how this happened. Ling Sheng lies that his son was careless and he fell while going to buy groceries. He taps Liang on the shoulder, telling him that he doesn't need to worry about such trivial matters. Before he can finish his statement, Bai Yi cuts in, telling the officers that his father is lying. Bai Yi boldly tells the officers that his father hit him, which is why he is all bloodied up. 18 minutes earlier, Bai Yi had used the phone booth at the apartment to call the cops, telling them that he saw Snow in the building. He knew that the cops would not joke with any news that concerned Snow. However, he wasn't expecting them to have arrived this fast. Although he is glad that they came because he is able to buy enough time for the cops to show up. Ling Sheng tries to push the narrative away while telling Liang and his partner that his son is not serious about what he said. He lies that he doesn't even have what it takes to beat his own son. However, Bai Yi doesn't allow the lie to land before he counters with the truth. He tells the officers that his father hit him in the head with a wine bottle while his arm was hit with a stool. Bai Yi continues pointing out the places where his father already hit him. He tells the officers that they can evaluate his body for injuries. Bai Yi takes it further by quoting their rule of law. He tells the officers that all awakeners who cannot control their violent behavior and harm others are liable to be detained in the awakener prison for 15 days. The cops are shocked and also impressed by how learned Bai Yi is. Ling Sheng turns around to look at his son with all the contempt in the world. With everything that Bai Yi has told them, Liang has no choice but to arrest Ling Sheng. Ling Sheng is immediately grabbed by the cops, and when he tries to grab his son, the cops tell him to calm down or else force is going to be used against him. Ling Sheng is grabbed out of the house, but he threatens to wipe his son once he is back from prison. Bai Yi ignores him and just closes the door behind him as he is being dragged away by the cops. Once they are safe, Bai Yi's mother runs over to hug him. Bai Yi is glad and relieved that he was able to save his mother. However, he has 15 days to get stronger, and he promises his mother that Ling Sheng will never touch her again. Before his father was dragged away, he managed to grab the key to his safe from his body. He knows that his father has something important inside the safe since this is how he was able to climb from E rank to C rank. Later, Bai Yi heads to the safe and uses the key he took from his father to unlock it. The contents of the safe were a secret Bai Yi learned after his father died in his past life. He opens up the safe and brings out the scary blade hidden inside. Bai Yi plans to take on the demon caves using the blade. Since demon caves are the only thing that can upgrade his class, Bai knows that he has no choice but to take on the labyrinths. However, there is a bit of a problem. The demon caves are under the jurisdiction of the gods, and only the guild members can enter. The ones Bai Yi can currently enter are the ones managed by the school. He can also access the hidden demon cave that he knew in his past life. In no time, Bai Yi makes his way to the hidden demon cave as he is determined to surpass everyone as fast as he can. Meanwhile, in the detention room of the inspectorate, the officers are talking about how the Snow sighting ended up being a false alarm. However, they are not mad at this, since they are always ready to check out anything related to Snow. While the officers are discussing, Ling Sheng tries to bribe the officers so that they can release him. Liang is absolutely disgusted by Ling Sheng's behavior since he was a member of the guild. The officers tell him that things are going to get even worse for him if bribery is added to his charges. They urge him to stay put for the night because he will be sent to the Awakener prison the following morning. Ling Sheng gets mad all over again, and all that rage is directed toward his son. Since Bai Yi himself knows that his father will be out in 15 days, he is already preparing to take on the Demon Caves to level up. Demon Caves are another space parallel to their world, and can only be accessed by a door that appears out of thin air. Once the Demon Caves are discovered, they are mostly taken over by the guilds because the Demon Caves house demonic beasts and demonic ores. This is why it is the best place for Awakeners to improve their abilities. However, a team is usually required to enter since the Demon Caves are pretty dangerous. The Demon Cave that Bai Yi is about to take on was only discovered 5 years later. Apparently, an F-rank Demon Cave requires 3 E-rank warriors, while an E-rank Demon Cave requires a 5-person team consisting of 3 E-rank and 2 D-rank warriors. Bai Yi is confident that the Demon Cave he is about to challenge is an F-rank Demon Cave. The Demon Caves are known to be dangerous, but since Bai Yi has no choice at the moment, he has to take on the cave all by himself. Bai Yi knows why he needs to get stronger as soon as possible. Armed with just the weapon he took from his father's safe, he proceeds into the Demon Cave. Everywhere is filled with ice and snow, and Bai Yi figures out that he is in the domain of a beast using cloud-type magic. As he strolls through the seemingly deserted domain, he soon runs into a sleeping ice bear. In front of the ice bear are human skeletons, showing that some adventurers might have entered before. While he is still looking around, a bloodthirsty forest wolf appears out of nowhere and almost gets Bai Yi. The wolf, though E-rank, is still stronger than Bai Yi. Bai Yi leaps backward to avoid the wolf, but it comes at him without hesitation. Bai Yi is able to block the wolf's teeth from sinking into him by using the blade. Bai Yi then goes on the attack, and with just a single slash, he takes down the wolf. Bai Yi is able to get this done thanks to the A-rank weapon that he is wielding. It is a weapon that is not available on the market, which is why his father was keeping it hidden. With this weapon, Bai Yi is able to close the skill gap between him and the beasts he is about to take on. The weapon is known as the Hunwu Blade, and it is made from Hunwu stone. Because of how powerful it is, it cuts through iron like butter. However, even with the powerful weapon, Bai Yi knows he still needs at least 4 strikes to take down beasts because of their impressive defense. Bai Yi casually teases about how he misses being an L-rank Awakener. Bai Yi learns that he needs to take down 20 wolves if he wants to upgrade a level on his skill set. Since he is fighting in an ice area, his cloud element will be the one to receive the upgrades. In addition to this, it is going to take him 10 upgraded levels to move from his current E-rank to D-rank. In no time, Bai Yi had himself surrounded by a pack of wolves that were attracted by the smell of blood. This is the perfect opportunity, yet a dangerous one for Bai Yi to level up. The wolves gang up on Bai Yi, but he relies on 2 skills while engaging the wolves. He combines the dodge skill and the counter-attacking skill to take down the wolves. He is able to maneuver his way around without receiving damage while dealing damage to the beasts. He takes down the first pack of wolves, with each kill giving him 52 experience points. He also acquired wolves' fangs during the fight. After taking out the entire pack, he has the Wolf King to deal with. Using his agility and swiftness, he delivers several cuts to the wolf's body, giving it no chance to heal. The Wolf King dies from the injuries, and Bai Yi earns 56 points for taking out the beast. Because he defeated the Wolf King, he earned a Snow Wolf Diamond. After clearing out the first pack of beasts, Bai Yi already has enough experience points to upgrade to D-rank. In addition to the points he gained, he also earned 12 attributes, and the system prompts him to allocate them as he sees fit. He then allocates the attributes as he deems fit, but notices that he is already tired after taking out just 20 wolves. He's not impressed with how weak E-rank bodies are. In addition to his list of problems, he knows he has to obtain a dimensional backpack where he can keep his loot and avoid losing it. Bai Yi also admits to the fact that taking on a demonic cave solo is pretty difficult. Regarding the Snow Wolf Diamond that he earned, it is a durable jewel used to craft special material weapons. It is also pretty expensive on the market. He knows the only way to get access to a high-tier demonic cave is to join the Divine Corps. Since the awakening schools are under the guilds, they often send representatives to scout prospective warriors for their teams. It is every student's dream to graduate with flying colors so as to join a guild. But if a student is unlucky and gets kicked off their team, their career is most likely over. This was what happened to Bai Yi's father and why he is stuck at C-rank forever. Looking at his current situation, Bai Yi realizes that he is going to burn even more stamina by taking on the beasts alone. In addition to this, he is already exhausted. Before he knows it, another pack of wolves appears out of nowhere. He decides to use a trick that he has up his sleeve. He makes a run for it, and the wolves follow. He leads them into a forest where he cuts down a bunch of trees to give himself a bit of space. This disturbance then attracts the beast residing in the forest, which is the cloud python. Bai Yi has the wolves to deal with, and he also has pythons joining the fray. To get out of the difficult situation, Bai Yi kicks his plan into motion. He lets off a loud explosion, hoping that it wakes one particular beast that he needs for his plan to work. His plan goes according to how he wants it, with the sleeping frost bear angrily emerging from where it is. The bear is in a state of rage which will force it to attack whatever it sees in its line of sight. The wolves and pythons are not safe from the bear's rage as they all get smashed. While the bear is smashing them around, Bai Yi is doing the cleanup from behind, earning him a bunch of experience points in the process. Bai Yi continues with the same tactics, earning experience points and also obtaining python fangs and wolf fangs. Bai Yi is able to use the weakness of the beast against them. He knows that they are aggressive, but they usually don't have the brains to back it up. They are essentially all brawn without brains. By using the bear against the wolves and the pythons, he is able to conserve his stamina. However, he still needs to be the one to finish up the beasts if he wants to gain the experience points. After fighting for some minutes, Bai Yi is already exhausted. He decides to jump into his next phase of the plan. Once the beasts are lined up in front of him, he hits the ice floor and breaks it to kill the beast. Since the start of the fight, he has been analyzing his terrain to see the pros and cons. He noticed that they are not fighting on a frozen lake, but rather an ice bridge suspended between two cliffs. This brilliant plan of his takes out almost all of the beasts in one fell swoop. Bai Yi is exhausted, but he still needs to take care of the frost bear and the remnants of the wolf pack. The system then unlocks a new title for him. He is called the 1 against 100, and with this title his stats get increased by 10% because he is fighting multiple enemies. However, Bai Yi is not worried about the frost bear yet. He knows that every cave has a final boss, and he is already expecting the final boss to show up. He has caused enough chaos, and he wonders why the boss hasn't appeared. Suddenly, the area gets hit with an ice spell. Before he can react to it, he and the beasts in front of him get hit by the spell. Bai Yi then realizes that he was wrong with his assumption. The final boss had already awoken, but it was waiting for the perfect moment when Bai Yi and the other beasts were exhausted to make its move. Bai Yi and the beasts are gathered in one spot, making it difficult for them to escape its spell. Bai Yi tries to move, but the spell already hits him. His legs are already frozen, and he realizes that the ice bridge was also a part of the boss's trap. The final boss put everything into place to show up and reap all the rewards all at once. It finally dawns on Bai Yi that the cave's final boss is an intelligent one. The final boss of the cave is the Kanglin demon monkey, and it also has some other apes as its guard. Almost every part of Bai Yi's body is covered in ice, preventing him from moving while the demon monkey wears an evil smirk. Apparently, the cave is designated as a high-risk cave that requires a bunch of E-rank warriors to challenge. With his body completely frozen over, Bai Yi is scared that he might go into hypothermia, which will be his end. The monkey boss raises his hand and points his finger at Bai Yi, ordering his monkeys to go after the incapacitated Bai Yi. Realizing that he is trapped, Bai Yi resorts to the use of the parry skill. Since the parry skill requires precise timing when blocking, Bai Yi makes sure to wait until the hit is about to land. He activates the parry skill and also the shatter skill, shattering the ice and blocking the incoming attack. Even though Bai Yi has temporarily gotten out of the situation, he knows he is in trouble because he has drained a big chunk of his stamina. The shatter skill comes into play when an awakened uses all their energy to break out of control effects, but this consumes a large amount of stamina. Bai Yi figures out that the demon monkey will need time before he can use an ultimate skill again, and he has to kill him before then. Just then, the demon monkey orders the ice bears and wolves to attack Bai Yi. Since the nucleo element has issues thriving with the cloud element, Bai Yi knows that his chances of winning are pretty low. He is low on stamina, and he is getting exhausted. The demon monkey just sits there like a proper villain while ordering his minions around. Bai Yi knows pretty well that he is going to meet his end if more beasts show up to attack him. He is still trying to think of a way out when he is attacked by one of the monkey beasts, trying to smash him down with a club. Bai Yi only manages to block the attack, but he gets pushed back with his knee scraping the ice floor while he tries to maintain balance with his short sword, grappling with the ice. The sudden attack causes Bai Yi to lose all of his strength, putting him at a serious disadvantage. The ice bears don't even stop screaming at Bai Yi, weakening him further. One of the bears throws an ice boulder at Bai Yi, but he manages to cut it down. However, the cold doesn't help with things, as Bai Yi's stamina has almost hit 0. Once the demon monkey notices that Bai Yi is almost drained, he pops up another ultimate skill, the Ice Storm. Bai Yi is shocked when he sees this, as he is not expecting the demon monkey's ultimate to have a fast cooldown. His eyes light up in horror as he stares at the incoming attack. This makes him remember that in his past life he faced life or death situations, and in these situations he was able to develop a sense for recognizing the right opportunities. Bai Yi figures out that at his current state, he has just 2 options. It's either he stays and keeps fighting, but since his stamina has hit the limit and he continues to endure damage from the beasts, he is definitely not going to survive. The second option is pretty simple, and this is him running away from the fight. Bai Yi wastes no time picking option 2, and he leaps off the cliff, trying to get away from the beasts. However, the demon monkey hits him with an ice spell that catches onto his feet, causing him to lose balance and fall off instead. With ice formed all around him, Bai Yi crashes down to the river below. While he is busy fighting for his life, his mother back home enters his room. She believes that Bai Yi is still sleeping, but she is shocked when she enters the room to see no one there. Bai Yi had left home the day before, which was a Friday, but now it is Saturday. Bai Yi's mom checks through the room and she finds a note left behind by her son, telling her that he went to a friend's house. Bai Yi urges his mother not to be worried, but the note only makes her more worried since she knows that her son would have told her he is going to a friend's house instead of leaving a note. She wonders what is going on with the boy since he has been acting all different since he came back home the day before. The woman is totally uneasy with several things running through her head. Back in the dungeon, Bai Yi managed to survive the fall. However, jumping off the cliff was also his plan. He remembers that nearly 100 beasts fell into the river when he broke the ice bridge earlier. However, he only got rewards for 40 beasts, which means the others survived the fall. Bai Yi coughs in pain as he drags himself out of the cold river. Even though he survived, he is running on a low percentage of his stamina. He is suffering from continuous blood loss, low temperature issues, and is in a completely weakened state. In addition to this, his body is severely damaged because he fell from a very high place. Without a doubt, Bai Yi knows that he is at his limit. While Bai Yi is lying in his weakened state, he wonders if he truly is at his limit. Before he knows it, he is already surrounded by beasts, like the ice bears, ready to finish him off completely. As the beasts get closer to him, Bai Yi falls into a state of deep reminiscing. He remembers his time with the Divine Core. He remembers the good moments he had with his teammates and everything that happens whenever he is at work. He also remembers his mother trying to make sure that he is fine. While remembering the good things, he also remembers his father's wickedness and the pain he suffered from the traitor who betrayed him. A voice rings in his head, telling him that it is the end for him. This is enough for Bai Yi to clench his fists together and decide that it is not the end for him. He manages to stand up, and just as the ice bear is about to finish him off, he raises his hand and holds the bear's giant teeth from closing in on him. Bai Yi is determined to make sure that all the negative and bad things that happened in his past life will not repeat themselves. He has died once, losing everything in the process too. But this time, he plans to turn everything around. With a newfound determination and energy burning inside him, Bai Yi smashes the ice bear before throwing it into the distance. Bai Yi lets off a cold breath and grabs his short sword again. Bai Yi's desperate attempt triggers something in him, which can push for a class advancement. Bai Yi stands back on his feet with a yellow aura swirling around his body while he is surrounded by monsters. His decision to put himself at risk by soloing a dungeon that would have required a team and going up against dangerous beasts is just for Bai Yi to make himself feel something from his past. This is a feeling of desperation where adrenaline pumps through his body, thus triggering a class advancement. Even though Bai almost died, he is not able to fulfill the conditions needed for the class advancement. However, instead of the class advancement, he learns a new skill, Nuclear Holy Swordsman. This is an ultimate skill, and it is well ahead of its time and level. He didn't get to advance his class, but the skill is something that would come in handy. With this skill, and the adrenaline pumping through his body, Bai Yi is brimming with aura and energy. He points his sword at the beasts, telling them that it is time for him to wipe them all out. One of the beasts makes a move, and the others follow suit. Bai Yi remains unfazed, and he prepares his short sword, waiting for the beasts to take him on. Just as they get closer, Bai Yi unleashes a swirling but dangerous speed attack called Sanctuary that cuts through all of the surrounding beasts in just one slash. He cuts down the beast with the notifications popping up to tell him that he has taken down ice bears, forest wolves, and the number of experience points he has also acquired. After taking out the surrounding monsters, he acquires items like the Icefield Beast Hide, the Proud Barebone, and Bloodtooth. The Sanctuary skill helps clear his fatigue and also restores his lost stamina. In addition to this, Bai Yi gets an upgrade and he obtains the Icefield Wanderer. This helps to resist cloud element creatures plus 100 damage reduction, which is the exact thing he needs in his current situation. Bai Yi stares at the top of the cliff, promising that he is coming to wipe out the rest of the beasts, and this includes their boss. With the experience points coming in like a flood, Bai Yi is able to upgrade to level 9 of the E-Class. Bai Yi immediately activates the Icefield Wanderer effect to resist the effect of the cold. The Sanctuary skill also allows him to store all the damage he is getting from attacks and then release it on a group of enemies all at once. However, this is something that he can only use after he has taken in a lot of damage. However, Bai Yi is thankful that the skill has helped him restore his stamina. Bai Yi then remembers that he needs to get things done quickly and return home before his mother starts to worry. Bai Yi climbs up the cliff and he makes his way to the palace of the Demon Monkey boss. The Demon Monkey is protected by a bunch of ice beasts, but Bai Yi doesn't care as he bursts his way into the palace. After taking out some more beasts, Bai Yi is now at the last level of the E-class, which is level 10. Meanwhile, it is now 11 p.m., and Bai Yi's mother is seriously worried back home. She has prepared food and put it on the dining table, but she is left to wonder where her son is. She prays that her son is fine wherever he is. Now in the boss's palace, Bai Yi takes out the ice bears serving as guards for the palace, while he is left to fight the boss's personal guards, the scary monkeys. The monkey boss doesn't look scared, and he orders his guards to take Bai Yi out. One of the monkeys jumps at Bai Yi, but all Bai Yi does is block and then easily slice the monkey in half. The monkey boss sees this and realizes that things might actually be dire for him. He angrily unleashes his ultimate, the Ice Storm Assault. But this has zero effect on Bai Yi since he is already immune, thanks to the new skill he just acquired. Bai Yi then dashes toward the monkey boss, and in desperation, the monkey boss raises his staff. He activates a spell that causes the jewel on the staff to start glowing. This puts the rest of the monkeys in a hyper mode, but Bai Yi doesn't see them as a threat. He only sees them as beasts he needs to kill for him to reach D-class. Bai Yi cuts through the beasts like they are nothing before relieving the monkey boss of one of its arms. The monkey boss screams in pain as he watches blood spill out of his severed arm. Before he gets the chance to do anything else, he finds Bai Yi looking at him with a death stare. Bai Yi unleashes a series of cuts to the boss's body, thus defeating it. The notification pops up, telling Bai Yi that he has successfully taken down the D-class cloud element user, the king of the Azure Forest. Because of this, Bai Yi gains 1,000 experience points. Bai Yi also advances to the D-class nuclear warrior. After this, he sees that there are items that he can pick up. Because of the amount of experience points he has gathered fighting an enemy that uses cloud element skills, the system tells Bai Yi that a new profession is about to awaken. Bai Yi is shocked to see this since he totally forgot about it. Just then, a red and blue aura starts to emanate from his body. He then awakens the cloud element mage profession, and with this, he can switch professions at any time. Bai Yi is excited to have awakened a red profession, even though it is still an E-class. Bai is excited because, unlike the Nucleo class, which comes with a 100% bonus, the red class comes with 200%. In no doubt, the red class strength is already on the same level as his current class. Bai Yi then picks up the mage weapon, the Stone of Magic. He also finds a magic pouch that can hold a maximum of 20 items. While he is busy looting, the rest of the beasts that are still alive can only watch. After he is done looting, Bai Yi looks up and realizes that some of the beasts survived, and since he just awakened a new profession, he decides to try it out on them. He switches to the mage mode with a red aura coming out of his eyes as he prepares to annihilate the beasts. It is now 5 a.m. the next morning, which is on a Sunday. Bai Yi's mother has not slept one bit, and she is sitting in the living room hoping that her son comes back. Just then, Bai Yi opens the door, and the moment she hears this, she immediately stands up to see if it is her son. Bai Yi enters the house, smiling and apologizing for making his mother worried. His mother doesn't waste time before running over to her son and hugging him tightly while crying. Bai Yi is shocked to see that his mother has been waiting for him, and she has even refused to eat. Just then, Bai Yi tells his mother that he has some good news for her. Apparently, while leaving the dungeon, Bai Yi was able to gather loads of valuable items, and this is thanks to the magic pouch he found. Inside the pouch is also his weapon. After leaving the dungeon, he meets with an ore broker. The broker offers to buy the ore for 800, but Bai Yi proposes a counteroffer of 8,000. This shocks the broker that Bai Yi is demanding such a huge amount for the ore. Bai Yi doesn't argue with him, and he just snatches the ore from his hand, telling him that he is leaving. The broker is forced to increase his bid to 2,000, but Bai Yi counters again, demanding 5,000. The broker then proposes 3,000, saying it is his final offer. Just as he says this, Bai Yi starts increasing the price, and before he knows it, it has appreciated to 7,000. The broker is still arguing and wondering why Bai Yi is increasing the bid. However, the moment he realizes that Bai Yi won't stop, he quickly stops Bai Yi at 7,000, promising to take the ore for 7,000. Since Bai Yi is experienced with the brokers in his past life, he knows how to deal with them. From the money he got from selling the ore, he rents an apartment, which he takes his mother to. In his past life, his mother was falling from one problem to another, but in this life, Bai Yi just wants to take care of his mother and make sure that she enjoys herself. Bai Yi concludes the apartment deal right in front of his mother, shocking the woman because of the high amount. By 8 p.m. on that Sunday, Bai Yi and his mother settled into the new rented apartment. Bai Yi is happy to see his mother smiling because it has been so long since he saw her with such an expression. Even though Bai Yi has rented a new apartment and he has moved up from E to D class, he knows that he can't let his guard down because of his father. Bai Yi wants to make sure that he settles the issue with his father before properly going after his main target. Bai Yi then wears a magic stone on his right arm, and this is a stone that increases an area of effect magic by 50%. At the same time, Hong is training really hard, trying to surpass his limit. He is jumping from one labyrinth to the other without resting. Even when his sister tries to convince him to rest, he slaps her hand away. Hong is prepared to do anything as long as he stays on top. Elsewhere, there is another unknown fellow checking through the list of the newly awakened students. She is disappointed that there are no exceptional talents among the newly awakened. The next morning at 7:30 a.m., Baiyi's mother had prepared food for her son. Baiyi is shocked when he realizes that he is running late. He asks his mother why she didn't wake him, and his mother replies that he was having a good rest, and she couldn't bear to disrupt that. She pats him on the head, urging him to eat slowly. With his mother's comfort, Baiyi calms down, realizing that it has been a long time since he slept peacefully. In addition, it's been a long time since he last had an unhurried breakfast. Just then, his mother asks him if there is anything that he wants, like a toy or a book. Baiyi is surprised that his mother is suddenly proposing gifts to give to him. This is when his mother reminds him that his birthday is next Friday, which is June 5th. It dawns on Baiyi that his mother is right, but it's been too long since he last celebrated his birthday, which is why he totally forgot. After his mother died in his past life, no one celebrated his birthday again, and gradually he forgot all about it. While tearing down on the food in front of him, Baiyi is left to rack his brain and see if there is anything that he wants. He is left in a state of confusion since the things he really wants, he already has them. His next and most important objective is to kill the traitor, who caused his death, and that of his entire team. When Baiyi gets to school that day, he learns that they are about to start preparing for the combat simulation. The teacher stands tall and stern in front of the newly awakened, telling them about the combat simulation. He explains that the academy is a middle school division that is supervised by the Divine Guild. He lets them know that the guild will be watching every move they make, and to impress the Divine Guild, the combat simulation is the best way to do that. He lets them know that the combat simulation will serve as the school graduation assessment, and it will also be broadcast live. The teacher tells them that the best performer will get the chance to participate in the training camp with the high school division. The training camp only happens once a year, and this is the best opportunity to come into contact with the Divine Guild. Apparently, the school usually organizes the best students from the middle and high schools to travel together to the Shanghai Nation, where the Divine Guild headquarters is located. Baiyi remembers the Shanghai Nation since this is where he met his master, and also this is where the traitor was born. However, the traitor never met his master since he joined the Divine Corps after him. Baiyi knows that he has to get high scores in the assessment so he can get into the training camp, which will give him more chances to find the traitor in the present. It turns out that the simulation battle is coming this Friday, which is 4 days away. While some are excited to take on the combat simulation, people like Four Eyes and Specs are worried because the simulation takes place inside a real labyrinth. Just then, the teacher points to the training room where they will be having their first training session, the physical conditioning. It is the gravity room where everyone is required to start with 10 sets of shuttle runs. In a surprising turn of events, Baiyi walks up to his teacher, telling him that he doesn't want to use the recommended training room. This shocks the teacher and even the students who heard Baiyi make the request. The teacher then tells Baiyi not to get ahead of himself just because he defeated Hong. The teacher believes that Baiyi is trying to skip training, but Baiyi debunks this, telling the teacher that he wants to be engaged in a more specialized training. The teacher is further confused by this as he asks Baiyi if he is trying to insinuate that there is a problem with his training methods. Baiyi then reveals that the physical conditioning is necessary for almost every class of awakeners, which means using the gravity room is not a bad option. However, Baiyi believes that the shuttle run is only best for classes like assassins and warriors, which require speed and coordination. However, Baiyi is pretty sure that not everyone needs this. He tells the teacher that classes like mages and chanters are better suited to train in the element room. He further adds that everyone should be allowed to train differently, since the use of classes for everyone is different. The teacher hears this and points out the fact that Baiyi is basically teaching him how to do his job. Chi-Yin hears the discussion between Baiyi and the teacher, and this shocks her. She realizes that the training method Baiyi is talking about is the same one that a training officer from the Divine Corps, Mr. Dongyang, mentioned. However, this is a newly proposed method by Dongyang, and she wouldn't have known about it if her father hadn't brought home the videotape. Chi-Yin is surprised that Baiyi is basically coming up with the same idea as Dongyang. Specs then tells Baiyi to avoid being blunt with the teacher so as not to hurt the teacher's feelings since he is the school's most authoritative trainer. Instead of the teacher getting angry, he pats Baiyi on the shoulder, smiles at him, and tells him that the training method he mentioned is interesting. Specs is glad that the teacher didn't take offense at what Baiyi said. The teacher then tells Baiyi that there are too many students in the school and it would be very difficult to cater to everyone's specific needs in the short term. The teacher points out that the combat simulation is a way to assess the student's performance, and if carried out the wrong way, it might derail a student's entire life and career. Baiyi remembers that even though he had a bad family in his past life, his teachers were there to support him. The teachers were the ones who helped him grow into a responsible person and not a twisted bad fellow. Bai Yi then turns to the teacher, assuring him that he is not going to let him down during the graduation performance. After hearing this, the teacher asks Bai Yi how he intends to train as an awakened nuclear warrior. Bai Yi then suggests that the teacher turn on the elemental suppression in the element room to its maximum setting. Hearing this shocks the teachers and even Specs. Bai Yi tries to lie his way out, telling the teacher that even though he is a warrior, he is trying to make sure that his abilities are balanced as a way to challenge his weaknesses. Bai Yi wants to do this to avoid explaining that he wants to train the mage profession. Just then, Qi Yin raises her hand, telling the teacher that she is also interested in practicing elemental control too. The teacher has no choice but to give in, and he tells the two to do as they please, but he urges them to put out their best during the final assessment. Qi Yin then walks up to Bai Yi, suggesting that they practice together, but Bai Yi quickly tells her that he is entering a private room to train. Qi Yin is surprised that she just got rejected by Bai Yi. Qi Yin claims that the rejection has fired her up and she wants to do her best. While training in the elemental room, Bai Yi is having a bit of difficulty since he is still new to the mage profession. However, he plans to master the profession in the short time that he has. In addition to this, he plans to hide the fact that he can switch professions since the school is under the supervision of the gods, and every move the students make is being watched. Bai Yi is trying to avoid a scenario where he becomes an early target for the gods. Meanwhile, Qi Yi is training with just 1% elemental suppression, and she thinks she can rival Bai Yi's strength. Bai Yi is also not ready to have anything to do with his classmates to protect them. After school that day, Specs and his friend catch up to Bai Yi. They tell him to slow down since it is hard for them to catch up to him. Apparently, the two were Bai Yi's best friends in middle school in his past life. Because they were all weak, they both shared the same fate that came with bullying. However, having his weak friends around him was the only happy moment he had in middle school. Bai Yi is aiming to get revenge in his current life, and he doesn't think there is a need for him to have social interactions with his classmates. To get away from them, he gets on his bicycle and rides away, leaving them behind. The two cannot believe that Bai Yi just ran off again since they were supposed to be an unbreakable trio. Specs points out the fact that Bai Yi has totally changed after the awakening, as he now looks like a confident person. Moments later, the two catch up to Bai Yi, who was waiting for them. Just then, Bai Yi tells Specs to get his lungs checked when he is free. The two are happy that Bai Yi has finally stopped so he can walk with them, but Bai Yi shatters their hope again, telling them that they are too slow to keep up with him. He gets on the bike and rides off, leaving the two in absolute shock. Apparently, in his past life, Specs was suddenly diagnosed with a lung disease, and after this, he took a leave of absence, but because of how serious the situation was, he ended up passing away shortly after he was diagnosed. Bai Yi wants Specs to stay alive and healthy, even if they don't turn out to be friends. On the other hand, Specs believes that Bai Yi is still the same person, even though he appears cold now. At the recruit training ground at Shanghai Nation, two dudes are seen talking about the new recruit who just joined the Divine Guild and has been performing well. The recruit turns out to have the same hair as the traitor who betrayed Bai Yi and his team. That evening, when Bai Yi returned home, he told his mother to avoid going out alone. He assures his mother that he will always return home early, and whenever he comes back, he will come with groceries. Bai Yi is worried because he knows that the environment is not entirely safe for his mother yet, and he needs to provide a better place for her. At the prison for the awakened, Ling Sheng is already making a deal with one of the chefs there. The next day, which is Tuesday, Bai Yi has managed to familiarize himself with how mages operate. He realizes that the key is casting time and calculating the required elemental power. While he is trashing the training room and pushing it to his limits, Bai Yi's friends are struggling with the shuttle runs. The training session continues the next day, and after they are done training, Specs and his friend ask Bai Yi to join them for dinner, but as expected, he bluntly refuses the offer, telling the two that he needs to return home early. However, he leaves his friends with some advice, telling them a secret technique that is meant for archers. The dude, who has archery as a profession, rejoices after hearing the advice. By Thursday, Specs visits the clinic, and this is where the doctor lets him know that he is actually very lucky to have come to the clinic. The doctor informs him that there is a parasitic tumor growing in his lungs, and this is a tumor that grows very fast. The doctor tells Specs to schedule a surgery at a major hospital so that the tumor can be removed, and he urges him to do this soon. Specs thanks the doctor and assures him that he is going to make an appointment. Just as he is leaving the doctor's office, he remembers that Bai Yi was the one who warned him about his lungs. He wonders how Bai Yi knew that there was a problem with his lungs. This further adds to the mystery surrounding Bai Yi. Just then, he hears some dudes talking about Hong. Apparently, Hong has reached E-Class Level 4, and they believe that he is going to come out as the best performer in the assessment. It turns out that his family has a private labyrinth, and Hong has been using this to level up. This is how his family has been training them as a private army. This is when the trio mentions something that really catches Specs' attention. It turns out that Hong is planning to teach Bai Yi a lesson after school, and this is for what happened between them last weekend. The trio talks about how pissed Hong is, and he is even planning to kill Bai Yi. Hong seems to have armed himself with a weapon so he can be more dangerous and more effective. Specs hears this and realizes that his friend is in grave danger. Worried about his friend, Specs swings into action. He decides that helping Bai Yi is the best thing he can do. He dashes through the school hallway while thinking about the useless tricks that Hong will try to use against Bai Yi. In fact, Specs is worried that Hong might have gathered some of his goons to help beat up Bai Yi. He suddenly comes to a halt as he thinks of how useless he is going to be even if he runs over to try and help Bai Yi. He wants to back down, but then he remembers that Bai Yi helped him. In addition to this, he considers Bai Yi his brother, and because of this, he is prepared to sacrifice himself if it means saving Bai Yi. Specs makes his way to the school armory, and he breaks down the lock to get access to the room. He is conflicted about breaking the rules, but he cannot get the idea that Bai Yi saved him out of his head. He pushes open the door while maintaining the fact that he is prepared to die as long as he gets to save his friend. He checks out the weapons on the weapons rack and he picks a giant axe. Suddenly, he hears Chi Yin's voice behind him asking him why he is breaking into the armory. Specs wants to keep his mouth shut, but Chi Yin presses further, asking him what is wrong since he looks like he is in a hurry. Specs then screams at Chi Yin, telling her that he needs to go so he can save Bai Yi's life. Meanwhile, Bai Yi has noticed that he is being followed, but he makes sure to reach an alley before telling whoever it is to step out. Just then, Hong steps out, looking all menacing with a sword in his hand. He tells Bai Yi that he is there to settle their score from last weekend. Bai Yi turns around with a pitiful face, asking Hong if he thinks he has what it takes to defeat him. Hong replies that he is positive he can take down Bai Yi. He says this while dashing towards Bai Yi with his skill called Accelerate. Hong claims that he has been training non-stop after the incident. In addition to accelerating, Hong activates another skill to appear behind Bai Yi. Just before he can land a hit on Bai Yi moves very fast out of the way, and once there is an opening, he grabs Hong, smashing him to the ground like he is nothing. Hong's mouth opens up in pain and the bitter realization that Bai Yi's attack power is far higher than his own. He cannot believe that this is a possibility, and just then, Bai Yi tells him that he is not the only one who has been training to get stronger. Bai Yi whips out his dagger in a slick manner and uses it to smash the ground beside Hong's head. Hong realizes something that he failed to realize the first time, and this is the fact that Bai Yi is well ahead of him when it comes to power and strength. They might be the same age, but Hong figures out that the menacing figure standing in front of him is someone he can never reach or even surpass when it comes to strength. Hong is shocked that Bai Yi leveled up too, and he screams at him, asking him what level he is. Hong refuses to believe that Bai Yi leveled up, and he starts asking him how he was able to do it. Hong reveals that he engaged in extra training after school just so he could get to level 4. And this took a lot of hard work, but he doesn't believe that even after all of this, Bai Yi is still faster than him. Bai Yi smiles at Hong when he mentions how hard he has been training. Bai Yi simply asks him if he has died before. With a knife to his throat, Hong tells Bai Yi to just kill him or even torture him. Hong believes that Bai Yi has been looking down on him for a while, and Bai Yi admits to this. However, he assures Hong that he doesn't actually hate him that much. In fact, Bai Yi is impressed that Hong followed him all the way from school and didn't ambush him. He also did not call his friends so that they could all gang up on Bai Yi. Bai Yi understands that Hong was just trying to test out his own strength. Just then, Hong screams at Bai Yi, telling him to kill him right there or risk dying in his hands later. However, he doesn't want Bai Yi to pretend that he can see through him. Bai Yi then thinks again, and he tells Hong that he is taking back what he said about not hating Hong too much. Meanwhile, Specs and Chi Yin have arrived, but they hid behind cover to watch Bai Yi. They are surprised to see that Bai Yi has handled the situation without needing their help. They see Bai Yi sitting on Hong like he is a nobody, and Hong is not even trying to make a move. Bai Yi then tells Hong that he has a deal for him. Bai Yi lets Hong know that there is a way for him to get stronger, but in return, he has to do something for him. The next day, Friday, is the assessment day. Bai Yi and the other newly awakened are gathered, and the teacher tells them that it is time for them to begin the combat simulation. However, the teacher lets them know that even though it is a simulation, they would still have to enter a real labyrinth. Although most of the power in the labyrinth has been sealed by a barrier, there are still dangers. The teacher urges them to act according to their capabilities since there are loads of dangerous monsters inside the labyrinth. To make sure that the students are safe, high school students have been assigned to guide them in the labyrinth. The assigned seniors are not going to participate in combat, but in the face of danger, they are expected to intervene. Apparently, a team including 4 to 5 people will be formed, and they will have a senior student leading them. They are allowed to choose between E-class and F-class dungeons. However, the E-class dungeons are way more difficult, and the teacher urges them not to engage in the E-class dungeon if they don't have the strength. He adds that failing the challenge will result in the loss of academic credits, which shows how important the challenge is. After laying down all of the instructions, the teacher tells them that they can start choosing the dungeon level that they want. He asks the students to raise their hands if they want to challenge the E-class dungeon. A total of 8 students, including Chi-Yin and Hong, raise their hands to take on E-class dungeons. Specs is surprised that there are some students crazy enough to take on the dangerous E-class dungeons. Out of the total 180 students, the teacher announces that 8 have volunteered to take on the E-class dungeon. He lets them know that the rest of them will be randomly distributed to take on the F-class dungeon. However, Chi-Yin notices that Bai Yi didn't raise his hand for the E-class level. Just then, Bai Yi walks up to the teacher, telling him that he would like to challenge the school's D-class Spirit Jade dungeon. Everyone's mouth is left picking their jaws from the floor when Bai Yi makes this declaration without fear. The teacher believes that Bai Yi is crazy because there is no one who just jumps straight to a D-rank dungeon, and even the students agree with the teacher. The students are looking at Bai Yi like some degenerate when the dean also steps in, mentioning that D-rank dungeons are dangerous for students. But Bai Yi cuts in, telling the dean that the rules of the school allow students to choose their own level. Since the school's mission is to scout talents for the Divine Cores, Bai Yi asks the dean if he is truly going to take away his chance to prove to everyone that he is not a pushover. The dean mentions that the school's dungeons require team entry, but Bai Yi makes it easy for him, saying he is willing to enter the dungeon by himself. However, the dean finds a loophole in this, saying solo entries are prohibited, but Chi-Yin raises her hand, offering to enter the D-rank dungeon too. This leaves the students shocked yet again, and the dean also freaks out, telling Chi-Yin that he is going to be in so much trouble with her father if anything happens to her in any of the caves. Chi-Yin pressures the dean by saying she also wants to get high scores, and in addition, she just wants to check out the dungeon. Bai Yi is not ready to allow anyone to share in his glory, and he raises his hand to argue that he would like to go alone. Chi-Yin is shocked that Bai Yi is refusing her help, but the teacher pats her on the head, urging her to calm down and assuring her that Bai Yi's refusal doesn't mean jack. The dean cannot believe how confident the students are, reminding them that they just awakened a week ago and they are already acting like they own the world. Since the two are stubborn, the teacher says they will be the only ones entering the dungeon, and it is quite obvious that no senior would be willing to join them. Just then, a senior, Xiling, raises his hand, offering to go, while boasting of how he is going to protect them since they are the future of the nation. The teacher is relieved to hear this with the belief that he finally has someone who can help him protect the kids while in the dungeon. Chi-Yin is shocked since Xiling is considered a prodigy who almost got into the ultimate school corps. Bai Yi is shocked to hear about the ultimate corps because it is his first time. On the other hand, Xiling is looking at Bai Yi for acting all tough without knowing his own strength yet. Once everything is ready, the teacher tells the students that they can now proceed to the dungeons. He lets them know that there will be professional streaming machines that will stay with them throughout the course of their exploration, and everything will be recorded. Since this is the case, he urges them to give it their all because they are all waiting to see who will get the highest score. Apparently, the academy was built on top of a conquered high-ranking dungeon, giving room for both the high and middle school divisions to thrive. However, lower-ranked dungeons later spawned around the school, and this served as the perfect training ground for the students. Basically, most of the dungeons are ranked from FD, and since entering them marks the start of the recorded simulation test, Bai Yi figures out that he cannot afford to use all of his trump cards to avoid attracting attention to himself. However, the Lingyu dungeon has exactly what he wants. Upon entering the dungeon, Xiling wastes no time boasting, talking about his plan to protect Chi-Yin and Bai Yi. He talks about how he has managed to clear an unsealed D-rank dungeon in the past. Chi-Yin then asks Xiling about the monsters in the D-rank dungeon. Xiling mentions that they are mostly level 5 to 15 monsters, but the stronger monsters have been sealed by the school, which is why they cannot encounter high-ranking monsters, let alone a dungeon boss. However, Xiling says they should not underestimate high-level E-rank monsters because sometimes their speed and attack power can be overwhelming. Xiling reminds Chi-Yin that they just awakened, but he assures her that he is going to find some small fries for her so that she can get good scores. Bai Yi is tired of the dude's yap, and he just walks past him, shocking him. Xiling is forced to call him back, telling him that he is going to get hurt if he rushes ahead, but Bai Yi ultimately shuts him up by telling him that he talks too much. Bai Yi stares back at him with a terrifying aura, telling him that he should just stay behind him because he doesn't need his help. Bai Yi's statement shocks both Xiling and Chi-Yin, but Bai Yi just ignores them and continues on his own. Meanwhile, the simulation test is already getting live-streamed to the students and teachers. Inside the ultimate campus room, the team is also watching the live stream, hoping to see something fun come out of the test simulation. The vice captain of the team tells his colleagues that a certain junior picked a D-rank dungeon, and when asked what class he belongs to, he mentions that it is the trashiest class of all. However, this raises their curiosity because they want to see why he is so confident in challenging a high-ranking dungeon. Meanwhile, the other students are getting trashed in the respective E and F class dungeons that they chose. In the E class dungeon, Hong is pissed that his teammates are nothing short of trash, and he decides that he might just have to fight all by himself. He is aiming to rank higher than Bai, and fueled by this unwavering determination, he faces the monsters alone, punching them hard enough to kill them. On the other hand, Bai is easily cutting through G and E rank monsters like they are tissue. Qiyin and Ziling are left picking their jaws from the floor, while also asking Bai how he pulled it off. Bai scornfully replies that most of the monsters in the dungeon are already sealed and can only use half of their strength, which makes them easy to cut through. Qiyin still believes that this is an unbelievable feat because he is cutting through multiple monsters at the same time. Qiyin admits that she has a long way to go if she is ever going to catch up with Bai's strength. Bai then gives her a word of advice, telling her that she has no reason to compare herself to others, and all she needs is to focus on herself. Qiyin blushes when she hears just how cool Bai is, and she assures him that she is going to put in all her effort against the monsters. On the other hand, Ziling is pissed that Bai is the one getting all the attention, and it is visibly written on his face. He then tells Bai to be careful because he is in a D-rank dungeon and he should avoid getting complacent. Ziling continues by saying his performance is impressive, but then adds that it is Bai's first time in a dungeon. He believes that the dungeon is difficult to handle since it's a 3-chamber type of dungeon. As he continues to yap, Bai just ignores him and tells Qiyin to focus on the monsters coming from the right while he takes care of the left. Ziling is left in a very disgraceful state after being ignored yet again by Bai. Surrounding them are several monsters that have lost their lives to Bai's rage, but Ziling is more concerned about getting ignored. Bai then asks Qiyin if she has the capability to handle the monsters on their right because they are low-level monsters compared to the ones on their left. Qiyin is shocked to hear that she is being told to handle the monsters by herself, while Ziling is pissed that he is not even getting involved in the whole thing. Bai then mentions that the combat simulation is a test of each student's individual ability, and he reminds Qiyin that she is in the dungeon to be assessed. Realizing that Bai is trying to get her to get some good scores, she finally pulls herself together in an attempt to take on the monsters. Ziling finally reaches his limit and he draws his bow while standing behind them. Meanwhile, those who are watching the livestream are all blown away because Bai is basically playing with the monsters like they are nothing. Because of his apparent deadliness, the teachers start debating on what class and level he is. Since the last report says he is E-class, they suspect that he is in the range of E3 or E4. They also notice how he chose the monsters on the left while he sent Qiyin to the right, which is because he assessed the type of monsters that are present on both sides. The teacher is impressed with his tactical abilities because of how he handled the situation. He then remembers that Bai already assured him that he was not going to let him down. The teacher is ultimately impressed, leaving him to wonder what Bai plans to do next. In the dungeon, Bai mentions how he noticed that the astro element beasts have been coming from the right-hand side, which makes Qiyin's flora element the best counter for them. Just as he predicted, Qiyin is having a blast against the monsters. She is basically tying them up with her vine powers and constricting life out of them. Even Qiyin is impressed by her skill, but Bai already knows that she is capable of this, since mages possess a unique skill tied to their basic class. Apparently, Qiyin's skill is to use plants to create a poisonous wall. The Flora Element Mage skill, Vine Wall, basically helps grow vines to form a wall, and the thorns on the vines carry a poison effect. Bai is impressed that Qiyin is handling the monsters pretty well, given the fact that it is her first time in a dungeon. Since the D-class monsters are all sealed, Bai is pretty sure that she can handle the rest of the monsters in front of her. Bai is confident that with the way things are going, he will be able to hide his true strength even from those watching the live stream, and still get a good score in the end. However, he wants to take on the real reason why he entered the dungeon, but he is conflicted on how to do it, since the live stream equipment is watching them like a hawk. Bai stands in front of one of the sealed caves, thinking about his next move. On the other hand, Ziling is pissed that he has been ignored for far too long, and he raises his bow and fires a buff arrow inside the cave behind Qiyin, while pretending like he was trying to hit Qiyin with a buff. Qiyin is shocked but at the same time confused, and while she is trying to think of what to do, a double-headed main lion makes its way out of the cave. The monster looks terrifying because it's a D-class monster, and what makes it worse is that it has attained the 11th level. Qiyin freezes in fear as the terrifying lion approaches behind her, ready to tear her to pieces. Qiyin manages to launch a vine attack at the lion to try to restrain it, but it easily breaks free, and at the same time, Bai has sensed that something is wrong. Qiyin faces the lion with all vulnerability, while Ziling scoffs from where he is because his skill has given the lion a buff. Before the lion can hurt Qiyin, Bai rushes in and tries to cut it down, but to his surprise, the lion moves faster than he gave room for. Because he missed his strike, the lion aims directly for Qian again, but this time, Bai Yi activates the flash blink to counter whatever speed differences they have and get to the monster before it can reach Qian. Thanks to the flash blink skill, Bai Yi is able to cut one of the lion's faces, blinding one of its 4 eyes, but this only leaves the monster ultimately pissed. Bai Yi lands back on the ground to put himself between Qian and the lion, while wondering why the lion is as fast as it is. Meanwhile, Zieling is having fun with everything that is happening, and he believes that the two have no chance against the lion whatsoever because they are newly awakened warriors. He is also confident in his belief because the lion is running on one of his buffs, the Arrow of Light, which increases the speed and damage of the target. The lion has basically been promoted to the fastest double-headed lion with 50% increase in speed and 10% increase in attack. Bai Yi is conflicted with the lion staring down on him, and he starts to wonder if he has to use his full strength to take down the lion. Bai Yi then tells Qian to retreat because she doesn't have what it takes to handle the terrifying lion as it stands. Instead of following Bai Yi's orders, Qian stays back, and she unleashes a vine wall to stop the attacking lion. The moment she realizes that one layer of the vine wall is lacking in strength, she surprisingly adds 2 more layers to it, making it 3 layers of vine walls. This manages to keep the lion in place, leaving Bai Yi in shock. Qian then urges Bai Yi to let her join in the fight, while assuring him that he is not going to hold him back. Zieling cannot believe that Qian is seriously offering to help fight the lion when she almost just lost her life some minutes ago. Bai Yi lets Qian know that he is actually impressed that she didn't run off scared but managed to pull herself together. Qian confidently mentions that she has been working so hard and can't afford to die in such a trashy place like the D-rank dungeon. In addition, she is pretty confident that with Bai Yi by her side, there is no way she is going to die. Bai Yi then reminds her that she just used 3 layers of her skill at once, which means she has weakened her elemental power. He advises her to use the rest wisely, and Qian assures him that she is aware of this simple fact. Bai Yi knew Qian in his past life, and she was a bright girl in middle school. She was a confident, positive, and caring young girl, even though she had a powerful and rich family behind her. She apparently became the class president in middle school and was always taking on responsibilities, but Bai Yi lost track of her after that, and he assumes that she went on to live a peaceful life. However, in their current situation, Bai Yi believes that she is someone whom he can trust. Bai Yi is confident that he has the best score in his grasp without revealing his full strength, as long as they don't run into any other mishaps. On the other hand, Zieling still believes that the two are not a match for the lion because it can easily break out of the vines holding it. He is confident that there is no way they can deal with the enhanced D-rank lion because confidence alone doesn't guarantee victory. He plans to wait till the end when they start begging for their lives before he helps them out. He is planning to teach them a valuable lesson that elders are to be respected. Just as he predicted, the lion breaks free of the vines, and Bai Yi tells Qian that he is going to lure away the lion, since it's a nucleo element type of beast. He tells Qian to get ready and act at the right time. Qian acknowledges the order, and Bai Yi swings into action. The two move in opposite directions, but the lion follows Bai Yi because it now considers him a threat, since he was the one who blinded one of its eyes. Bai Yi heads straight for a pond and dives right in, luring the lion into the pond too. Once the lion is in the water, Bai Yi screams at Qian to use her power and waste no time, grabbing the lion with her vines. The lion screams out in frustration, but Qian adds to its pain by constricting it, and when the lion tries to use its skills and buffs, they surprisingly fail. This leaves the lion restricted, unable to break free, and Qian releases toxins into the lion's skin. Since the lion can no longer break free and its body is getting ravaged by poison, Bai Yi believes it is time to kill it and get the highest score. Zieling is shocked when he sees the lion struggling to break free without success. His mouth is left agape because he knows that even he doesn't have what it takes to subdue the lion, since it is already enhanced. The teachers watching the livestream were the only ones who figured out what Bai Yi did in restraining the lion. Apparently, a nucleo element lion will lose its ability to use its skills when lured into water. However, the abilities of a flora element like Qian are strengthened in the water. The teacher realizes that Bai Yi used simple but intelligent tactics in defeating the lion, and he concludes that Bai Yi's leadership skills are insane. The teacher figures out that Bai Yi will no doubt come out as the top student in the combat simulation, since all that is left is to deal the final blow and take out the lion. The teacher is pretty sure that Bai Yi will receive the highest score in history once the recording is submitted to the guild for review. Suddenly, they got cut off from the live feed, leaving them in the dark about what is happening with Bai Yi. It turns out that Zieling was the one who shot down the live streaming device to make sure that there was no evidence of Bai Yi getting the highest score. Meanwhile, Bai Yi has landed the final blow and the lion is already dead. He thanks Qian for her support, saying it was thanks to her ability, but Qian doesn't think she did much because she was basically following Bai Yi's orders. Bai Yi argues with her, saying everything is made possible because she has trained her elemental resistance enough, giving her the chance to be able to use a single skill with many variations. Qian is confused with the term elemental resistance. But before she can ask any further questions, Ziling shows up, telling them that it is time for them to return to the surface since they have managed to take down the boss. After saying this, he turns around to leave, clearly showing his displeasure. As he walks away, Bai Yi stops him, mentioning that he knows exactly what he was doing when he buffed the monster, but Ziling claims he was trying to buff Qian instead. The moment he says this, Bai Yi mocks him, saying he is the worst archer he has seen. Qian joins in, saying Ziling is trash, which is why he was not selected for the elite school squad. Ziling angrily whips out his bow, but Bai Yi shows him he is not messing around by showing him his blade and the terrifying aura from his body. Ziling decides that it is in his best interest to back off, but he tells the two that they still have a long way to go, and he is definitely going to get them. In anger, Ziling walks back to the surface, leaving the two behind. The two are following him when Bai Yi notices the streaming equipment lying on the ground. Bai Yi figures out that Ziling was the one who destroyed it, so that they won't be able to get the high score, but little does he know that he has actually done him a favor because he can now go wild with no one to watch him. Qian is confused about what Bai Yi means when he says Ziling did him a favor, and she asks him what he plans to do. Bai Yi then walks to the sealed cave and tells Qian to keep what she is about to witness to herself. Qian still remains confused, leaving her to genuinely ask Bai Yi what he is planning to do. Bai Yi ignores her and pulls out a seal-breaking stone that he got from Hong. Bai Yi then reveals his plan to unseal the dungeon with the stone. He places the stone on the seal and it starts to react, giving off a dark aura, while Qian tries to warn him about the dangers of what he is about to do. Qian says the entire area is going to be flooded with high-ranked monsters, but Bai Yi assures her that she has nothing to worry about because the monsters' powers are still affected by the seal, meaning they will be operating with just half of their strength. Qian remains worried, saying it is going to be difficult for them to handle a bulk load of monsters, but Bai Yi clears the air, saying he is going to be the only one taking on the monsters. Just then, he switches from a nucleo element class to a mage class, hitting Qian with several questions of how he is able to pull this off. Bai Yi then tells Qian to stay by the exit while he deals with the several monsters that have just made their way out of the cave. Qian reluctantly pulls away, while warning Bai Yi to be careful. As the monsters charge towards him, he activates his flash freeze skill, shocking Qian that Bai Yi has a red quality profession. The monsters are frozen in place while Qian is totally left in awe. Bai Yi mentions that the monsters have been sealed for so long and they are all just going to rush at him at once. He urges Qian to steer clear, and Qian pulls away from the battle area completely. Once Qian is gone, Bai Yi has some fierce flame leopards to deal with. They run at Bai Yi without holding back, forcing Bai Yi to jump backwards before unleashing his flash freeze skill again. The flash freeze skill is one that condenses the water in the air into ice to easily control the opponent. Once Bai Yi has the monsters hit with the flash freeze skill, he immediately switches to Nucleo Warrior to try and behead the restrained monster. One of them tries a sneak attack on him, but he moves out of the way before switching to the Elemental Mage again. He puts the monster in one place again, leaving Qian in shock because Bai Yi can easily switch between professions like it's nothing. Qian also understands why he was fighting to go to the Element Room, and this is training in elemental resistance. Qian knows that the essence of a mage is to directly output energy in the form of natural force to manipulate characters of the same element within a given range. To her, she thinks the stronger the magic power is, the more times the mage can cast a spell, and the stronger the mage becomes. She knows that elemental power is wild and difficult to tame, but watching Bai Yi has told her that what one needs the most is control, because this is the only way a mage can execute more variations of their moves. Qian watches in awe and concludes that Bai Yi has achieved a very high level of mastery. Qian concludes that Bai Yi is way above the other students, including herself, but she can't deny the fact that he is very cool. After taking out the other monsters, the Spirit Jade dungeon boss finally shows its face. It turns out to be a level 15 D-class Hell Mammoth, but in its sealed state, its abilities and attributes have been cut in half. Bai Yi is happy to see the monster, and he immediately switches to Nucleo Warrior because what he really wants is the dungeon boss. Bai Yi leaps toward the mammoth and cuts it on the back. Bai Yi lands a critical hit that shatters the mammoth's left horn before cutting through its back. However, the mammoth remains standing, and Bai Yi figures out that even with its strength cut in half, a level 10 monkey can't reach its strength level. Bai Yi resumes his attack on the mammoth and continues to deliver critical hits upon hits, which finally causes the giant monster to crash to its knees. Once the mammoth is down on its knees, Bai Yi activates a title skill, Sanctuary, which gives him the one-shot power against several monsters. By using it, he takes down several of the monsters restrained in front of him with just one strike. He receives a ton of experience points by doing this, but he gains 1,000 experience points from the mammoth kill alone. In addition to this, he receives some fierce bones and other high-grade materials for crafting an S-rank nucleo weapon. Just then, an item called the Resonant Kingstones, which is a pair of kingstones with a special function, drops as part of the mammoth's dead loot, Bai Yi is happy when he sees this because it is his target all along. Thanks to his fight against the monsters, his nuclear warrior level increased to level 13, but still remains in the D class. His cloud element mage level also increased a bit too, and he gained some point bonus. His 1 against 100 skill has also been upgraded to one-man army. This increases his attributes by 20%, and a 10% lifesteal effect is added. After he is done taking out the monsters, he walks toward Chiyin, reminding her of what he told her before he started fighting the monsters. Meanwhile, the teachers are panicking because they have received the signal that the seal has broken, and they know the dangers that come with it. The teachers are running toward the dungeon when they notice Zeeling walking out of the dungeon, when he should be the one protecting the junior students. Zeeling is shocked to learn that the seal is broken, but at the same time, he doesn't care because he believes Bai Yi is about to suffer a real blowback. The teachers rush into the dungeon, screaming Bai Yi's name, but are shocked when they see him and Chiyin walking out like nothing happened. Bai Yi acts like he knows nothing, asking the teacher what he is doing in the dungeon. The teacher is shocked when he looks at the cave to see that the seal is still active, and this makes them believe that the machine reported an error. On Friday, when the school is about to close, Zeeling heads to the Ultimate Core office to hear from the vice captain after submitting several materials that he believes would land him the last spot on the team. The vice captain breaks his heart when he tells him that he cannot be accepted because the captain of the team, An Li, has chosen someone else. Zeeling almost goes crazy when he hears this, reminding the vice captain that he promised him the spot would be left open for the most valuable student. Zeeling considers himself the best person for the spot because of his background and skills, but the captain appears on the scene, telling Zeeling that they have found the most valuable person already. And Li talks with so much excitement, saying the kid is very interesting, basically pointing out Bai Yi's potential. The same evening on Friday, Chenwu managed to get Bai Lingsheng out of jail early, and they are both sharing a meal in the hood. Chenwu urges Lingsheng to stay out of trouble because it took him a lot to get him out early. While consuming the ramen, Lingsheng assures Chenwu that he is going to stay out of trouble, and Chenwu lets him know of their next plan. Lingsheng assures Chenwu that he has everything covered, and just then, Chenwu gets a call from Liang, forcing him to end his meeting with Lingsheng. Chenwu tells Lingsheng that he is heading back to the office, but urges him to head home early. Lingsheng assures Chenwu that he is excited to go home because he just can't wait to see his wife and kid. Lingsheng excitedly heads home, hoping to catch Bai Yi and his mother at home, but to his surprise, they have disappeared, leaving him utterly pissed and disgusted. He angrily smashes a table while screaming in frustration because he was already imagining just what he was going to do to Bai Yi when he catches him. However, his fury has just multiplied because he now plans to kill Bai Yi once he gets his hands on him. Meanwhile, Bai Yi has given his mother one of the pairs of resonant jade, and he tells her to keep it on at all times. Bai Yi also has the other pair hanging around his neck, and he tells his mother to shatter the jade if she is ever in danger, because his jade will sense it and he will appear right beside her. Bai Yi lets his mother know that he couldn't leave her alone without insurance, and this is his insurance. Bai Yi is happy to give his mom the jade because he can't remember his mom ever receiving a necklace or any jewelry of any kind. She was basically just a woman who never enjoyed what her mates were enjoying. His mother tries telling him that he doesn't have to hang around her all the time because he is a kid and he needs to be with kids of his age, but Bai Yi argues against this, saying he doesn't need to be anywhere else. His mother doesn't believe this because she expects Bai Yi to have people who are important to him. But this simply reminds Bai Yi that the only important folks in his life were his former teammates, who were wiped out by the traitor. He doesn't even know yet if he is going to meet them in his current life. That night, Bai Yi heads to a wild D-class dungeon because he can train to his heart's content, since he has found a way to make sure his mother is safe. The dungeon is one that only Bai Yi knows, and it opens at midnight and closes at 1 a.m. Because there is a time limit, Bai Yi figures out that he has to get things done very quickly and focus on improving himself. Upon stepping into the dungeon, he is met with level 15 wild orchids that are D-class monsters. There are also blood-devouring flowers in the dungeon, and all that is on his mind is how he is going to improve so he can be better than he was in his past life. Bai Yi wastes no time going after the monsters, and he starts cutting them down to gain experience points and valuable items. Bai Yi doesn't think he has any reason to have friends because the enemy will come one day and take them away from him. However, he doesn't want a repeat of his past life, and this acts as a catalyst for him to want to get stronger and faster. He slashes the monsters like they are nothing since he sees them as his stepping stone into greatness. However, he is worried that he is just too weak because he doesn't even stand a chance against Lingsheng, let alone the traitorous Custard who betrayed them. Because of how delicate his situation is, Bai Yi figures out that he doesn't have the luxury to take shortcuts, but to fight every problem and monster head-on. Fueled by this determination, Bai Yi walks toward a horde of monsters with no fear in his body, as long as he uses them to level up. Using the Sanctuary skill, Bai Yi takes down a bulk load of monsters, earning him tons of experience points with it. After taking out the monsters, he considers the weaker ones, Bai realizes that the gate will close in 20 minutes, and he has to take care of the giant dungeon boss within that time frame. Standing in front of him is the level 20 boss, D-class dungeon lord, Ye Wuming. The boss doesn't hesitate before aiming for Bai Yi's head, but Bai Yi punishes it by relieving it of its hand. However, this is nothing to the boss, as it easily heals itself back, using one of its broken skills. This leaves Bai Yi in shock because he never expected the monster to have such a powerful self-healing ability. Right in front of him, the monster's arm regrows, and he punches the ground to bring the dead plant monsters back to life. Bai Yi cannot believe his eyes when he sees the monsters that he has defeated all coming back to life like it's a Christmas party. This is totally confusing to him, since a D-class lord shouldn't have the ability to resurrect others. He is trying to understand the severity of the situation when a giant plant arm impales him from behind, sending a wave of agony through his body as he spills out blood. He turns around to realize the shock of his life. It turns out that Ye Wuming has a twin brother, Ye Wuming, basically making the dungeon a dungeon that is ruled by two terrifying lords. Because of his inability to get to the gate at the right time, it closes, leaving him trapped inside. Meanwhile, his mother hasn't heard from him, and she is getting seriously worried already. She has tried to reach him via text messages, but his phone is not going through, and the woman stands by the window in horror. Realizing that her son might be in danger, she decides to step out in the heavy rain to find him. However, Lingsheng has managed to track down the new apartment and arrives at the entrance totally drunk, while he is also pissed off that his wife and kid rented out another apartment behind his back. Bai Yi's mother stepped out of the building as the rain poured on her. Back in the dungeon, Bai Yi is having a really hard time against the dungeon bosses. He has killed the plant monsters, but they just keep coming back up, leaving him totally exhausted. Nonetheless, he is not ready to give up against the monsters. However, he also knows that taking down the monsters repeatedly won't grant him any experience points. Bai Yi figures out that the only way out of his problem is to find the source of their constant resurrection. Bai Yi is having it hard because it is not only the dungeon bosses that have regenerative powers, but also the other monsters inside the cave. He cuts them down very easily, but every time, they just heal themselves yet again. Bai Yi is forced to admit that their healing powers are too broken because even an S-rank healer can't do what they are doing. He figures out that there might be a place stored with a massive amount of healing energy that is feeding the dungeon bosses. To make things worse, Bai Yi realizes that the monster is actually adapting to his moves as the fight progresses. However, Bai Yi fights his way through until he finally finds the giant tree that is the source of the dungeon's energy. Bai Yi can easily tell that the bosses are healing pretty easily thanks to the tree's presence, and the moment he takes it down, there is no healing power for them again. He runs toward the tree while the bosses chase him down in fear, knowing fully well that they are done for once he takes down the tree. Bai Yi, on the other hand, smiles, because he can now kill the dungeon bosses the easiest way possible. Bai Yi manages to get to the tree, and he cuts every single one of them down. Bai Yi immediately switches professions and becomes a cloud element mage to get a range at the bosses, while the dungeon bosses scream in pain, telling Bai Yi to stop. Before they can reach him, Bai Yi freezes them up and then switches classes to Nuclear Warrior before targeting Ye Wuming. He impales Wuming, ultimately killing it, and just as predicted, the other monsters lose their healing abilities. By defeating the boss, he gets a ton of experience points while also obtaining a high-grade item, Spirit Grass, which instantly recovers 50% of stamina and heals most physical damage. Wuming's brother breaks out of the ice prison, but Bai Yi is not worried about it because he is about to end it without his brother's influence. The dungeon boss suddenly tells Bai Yi to kill him, shocking him. Bai Yi then figures out that the dungeon boss has no reason to live again because his brother is dead. Being the good dude that he is, he can't deny his wish. Bai Yi charges toward the last surviving boss and cuts it down pretty easily. After killing the boss, he obtains a high-grade material, Poison Thorn, which is an essential material for crafting an S-rank weapon, Poison Piercer. By defeating the bosses, his Nuclear Warrior increases to level 15, and his Cloud Element Mage increases to level 13. Just then, the dungeon entrance opens again, and since his Flora element has reached the maximum accumulation, he gets the chance to awaken a new class. Bai Yi wonders what sort of amazing class he is about to awaken, but to his surprise, he awakens a blue-colored E-class summoner. Bai Yi has never been one to rate the summoner class because he believes that it is trash. He checks out the skills related to the class, and he sees a skill, Flora Spirit Contract. This is a skill that allows the wielder to sign a contract with the souls of a defeated Flora element monster. The other skill is called Flower Bed, and this will allow him to see the souls of recently deceased Flora element monsters. Since he has 2 contract slots, it suddenly dawns on Bai Yi that he just defeated 2 dungeon bosses, and he can see their souls. He wastes no time activating the contract skill, ultimately making the 2 his subordinates, basically making the summoner class not too useless after all. On the surface, Lingsheng is approaching the apartment when he gets a call on his phone, leaving him wondering who it is that is about to ruin his fun time. It turns out to be Chenwu, and they talk about their sinister plan concerning Chief Hong. Ling Sheng assures Chen Wu that he is going to do everything to return to the guild. After the call, Ling Sheng cackles evilly, since things happen to be going his way. He then decides to leave his reunion with his wife and child in the meantime. Momentarily, Bai Yi returns home to find his mother in the rain. He walks up to his worried mother with an umbrella in hand, and he suggests that they return home. As part of his regular souvenirs, Bai Yi gives his mother a bracelet with a green jewel in the middle, leaving her to wonder why she is getting gifts every time. On the other hand, Bai Yi is in his room thinking about the 3 classes that he has managed to awaken. There is the green-colored warrior, the blue-colored summoner, and the red-colored mage. In his current stage, he has managed to upgrade 2 to D class. The Nucleo Warrior and the Cloud Element Mage are both D class, while the Flora Element Summoner is still E class. Even with all the new classes that he just acquired, Bai Yi doesn't think it's enough to go against his father. Bai Yi calculates his father's jail time and assumes that he is going to be released in 5 days, but since he knows how cunning his father is, he also knows that he might have bribed his way out of prison. To make sure that things don't catch him by surprise is why he has prepared the items he gave to his mother. However, he is quite aware that hiding won't help him against his father. To gain more strength, Bai Yi steps out the next morning to enter another dungeon, since he is planning to get really strong and settle the issue with his father before he leaves town for his training pilgrimage. By afternoon, he has racked up a bunch of experience points while raising his class. Bai Yi continues raiding and conquering dungeons the entirety of the day, hoping to be stronger and faster than his father by the time he goes up against him. Just then, he gets the notification that he has obtained another title, the Lone Wolf Hero. Apparently, conquering a dungeon of a level not lower than his 10 times has granted him the hero's key. With the key, and with certain conditions met, he can unlock the warrior's tower. But this sounds strange to him since it is his first time seeing it. By Monday morning, Bai Yi returns to school, and the teacher informs them that the final results of their assessments have been released. Basically, Bai Yi and Qi Yin took first and second in the entire school. In addition to this, Bai Yi's recording was sent to the headquarters for more comprehensive analysis. The teacher mentions that Qi Yin and Bai Yi had a joint record that is the highest in the school's history, and because of this, they have earned the qualifications for the training pilgrimage. Because Bai Yi performed exceptionally well, he will be getting a one-on-one talk with the Divine Clan. The students are blown away when they hear this, because getting the chance to talk to the Divine Clan is something a Divine Officer dreams of. To Bai Yi, he is glad because he will basically get the chance to meet those he has wanted to in person. His friend rushes over to him, sobbing like a fish, and tells Bai Yi not to forget them back home when he finally achieves success. At the dean's office, he is asking Hong if he would like to go with Bai Yi to the pilgrimage, but he is refusing. Hong is pissed that he got 3rd place and doesn't qualify to go. Hong tells his uncle that he doesn't want people to start believing he is relying on his father for everything. The dean is impressed by how much Hong has grown, and he wishes that his father would see it one day. Hong then asks the dean for a favor, and this is access to the sealed D-class dungeon on the back mountain. Hong mentions that he would like to get stronger on his own. On the other hand, Zilling is begging his uncle, the principal, to be a part of the pilgrimage, mentioning that he is the sole heir of the Z family. His uncle, Zi Yunqing, berates him for acting impulsively when he knew that he was the one everyone was relying on. The principal asks Zilling why he would do something so reckless during the combat test. Zilling is shocked to hear this, and his uncle screams at him in anger, telling him that the people in charge are not fools because they could clearly see through his stupid little tricks. The principal lets Zilling know that he won't be present in the school if he hadn't stepped in to help with the situation. Zilling falls to his knees in fear of his uncle's aura and starts begging for forgiveness. He shed tears while admitting that he messed up, but his uncle told him to get back on his feet. Yunqing tells Zilling that his actions are what made the higher-ups notice Bai Yi's talents. However, they are already suspecting that something is not adding up when it comes to Bai Yi's case. The principal says Bai Yi's growth is extraordinary, which is quite weird, and this is why someone from the Divine Clan wants to meet him in person. Yunqing finally decides to have mercy on Zilling, telling him that he can go on the pilgrimage, but he needs to learn how to start acting without his anger getting the best of him. The principal assures Zilling that he won't be able to protect him any further if he causes more trouble. Zilling excitedly assures his uncle that he is going to be a good boy, but deep down, he is planning to go after Bai Yi at the training pilgrimage. He is not stopping with Bai Yi alone because he also has his eyes set on Li. That evening, as the school prepares to close, Bai Yi gets an invitation letter from the elite school squad, telling him to come to the squad office for registration if interested. His friend is blown away when he sees the invitation because the squad is basically the strongest in the entirety of the school. There is a guarantee that joining them means direct access to the Divine Guild without an exam. The squad was apparently created by the school's only golden assassin in recent years. It is obvious that people are always struggling to join, but they have never made a direct approach to a student except for Bai Yi, of course. The students in the class are blown away because the elite squad is a high school division squad, but they are basically inviting a junior high school student. Bai Yi's friend starts bawling out of pure love for the dude's incredible talent. Just then, Bai Yi picks up the invitation letter and throws it in the trash, sending a wave of disbelief through the entire class. They can't believe that Bai Yi is basically ignoring the prestigious invitation, and Bai Yi says he is leaving. His friends know that he is refusing a great opportunity, but at the same time they know that he is avoiding joining because he is just going to become a leader. Bai Yi then heads to the school's back mountain, where he meets up with Hong, who helped him gain access to the dungeons present there. Basically, Bai Yi promised Hong that he would show him practical combat skills, which would help him get stronger, but the condition was that he would get him access to the school's dungeons. Bai Yi is impressed because he never expected Hong to be able to get him access to the D-class ones. Upon entering the dungeon, Bai Yi is having a field day with the monsters, while Hong is struggling really hard. Hong crashes to the ground at some point, but he refuses to take Bai Yi's help, saying he can get out of the situation himself. As they continue to explore the dungeon, he figures out that he hasn't met the full conditions to unlock the warrior's tower yet, which is why he can't enter. Apparently, he has to reach B-class before he can even get the chance to enter the tower. Bai Yi has cleared all the wild dungeons that he can find, and the ones at the school are the only ones left for him to level up with. Every day after school, Bai Yi heads to the dungeons to kill monsters and level up while clearing out dungeons. Hong is always with him, but Bai Yi gets the shine every single time, even though Hong is always screaming at him not to interfere. Bai Yi lets him know that he would be dead if he didn't interfere. Even though he doesn't have wild dungeons again, Bai Yi is pretty okay with the dungeons at the school. By Thursday, Hong leaves the dungeon after finally leveling up to D-class. He celebrates his win, saying it is much better to enter the dungeon by himself rather than having bodyguards accompany him. Bai Yi, on the other hand, remains chill even though he has managed to get the warrior class to C-class. With what he now has, he is confident that he can deal with his father if he goes up against him. In addition to leveling up, he gains a new skill. When Bai Yi returned home that night, his deaf mother communicated with him, using sign language, asking him if he had been dating a cute girl, which is why he was not coming home early. Bai Yi refutes the idea, reminding his mother that he is just a junior high student, which is why it is completely impossible. His mother then asks him if he has been messing around with his buddies, which is why he is coming home late. Bai Yi tries to clear the air, but his mother just keeps coming up with more reasons why he should get someone he loves before he loses the chance and later regrets it in the future. This finally gets to Bai Yi's head, and he realizes that there is a girl he cares about, and this is An Li, one of his former teammates from his past life. An Li was always hanging around Bai Yi and even displaying her beautiful melons to him, but he was always rejecting all the green lights. However, his death sends a wave of rage into his head again. He remembers that he met An Li in the capital city of the Shenghe Nation after he was rescued by his master. Since Bai Yi doesn't know where she currently is, he believes that it would be hard to meet her in this life again. Moreover, there won't be any connection between them even if he manages to meet An Li in this life. Meanwhile, An Li, who is currently the captain of the elite squad, has received a report from her vice that Bai Yi has rejected their offer. Since Bai Yi seems to be an interesting person, An Li decides that she is going to get off and meet Bai Yi herself to personally deliver an invitation letter to him. On Friday, which is Bai Yi's birthday, his mother gets him a gift with a letter addressed to him, wishing him eternal happiness and the courage to live the life he chooses. Inside the gift box is a scarf, even though it is almost summer. However, it dawns on him that his mother might have figured out that he is going to the Shenghe Nation. Apparently, the temperature difference between day and night at the Shenghe Nation is quite huge, and his mother wants him to take care of himself. His mother then assures him that she is going to take good care of herself while he is gone. Bai Yi is shocked to hear this, and he realizes that his mother knew what she was doing all along. His mother then suggests that he treat his best friends to a meal, since it is his birthday. Bai Yi is forced to remind his mother that he has no friends. When he gets to school, his friend is the first to come to his table to create a water avatar for him as a present. Four Eyes also join the fray, and he gives Bai Yi the original tape of his favorite movie, ultimately shocking him. Bai Yi remembers that he was always sneaking out with Four Eyes in his past life to watch prehistoric movies while they cried like babies. Four Eyes tell Bai Yi to keep the movie tape so that the teachers will not see it. Bai Yi's face lights up in happiness with all the gifts that his friends are giving him, and he thanks them. They are about to wrap everything up when Qian shows up and suddenly whips out her own birthday gift for Bai Yi. They open it, and they are ultimately shocked to find an A-rank mage weapon, the Phantasm Gem, inside there. Bai Yi is blown away and he pushes the box back, saying he can't accept the gift because it is too valuable. Qian then reminds Bai Yi that without him, she wouldn't have been able to participate in the training pilgrimage. Qian lets Bai Yi know that her family has a lot of the stones, so it is not something very precious to them. However, she is pretty sure that it is going to be helpful to Bai Yi. Bai Yi subtly agrees with her because he is looking to improve himself, and the gem will come a long way. Bai starts to wonder if Qiyin gave him the gem because she saw him using the lowest level mage weapon while he was fighting in the dungeon. Bai is impressed that the girl is quite observant. Bai is utterly grateful that his friends remembered his birthday, and they all prepared gifts for him when he was already planning to leave. Specs and the other friend are shocked to see that Qiyin and Bai have gotten close, but Qiyin notices them whispering, and she walks over to ask them what they are whispering about. The two almost faint, realizing that they almost got caught in the act. Even though Bai is trying to avoid any meaningful connections with them, he suggests that they have dinner together that night. He assures them that everything is on him, and he asks them if they are going to be available for the treat. Surprisingly, the trio agrees to go out, and they all celebrate as if they won the lottery. Suddenly, Bai notices some high school students approaching them, and this leaves him wondering what the seniors might want with them. Meanwhile, the other students are talking about Anli's presence in the class and how she has come to personally invite Bai. This is a big deal to most of the students because Anli is considered a very beautiful maiden. When Bai hears this, he gets off his seat, ready to refuse the invitation in person. His friends believe that they are about to witness something straight out of the movies. Apparently, Ziling is also present in the school, and he is pissed about the whole thing because he cannot believe that Anli would personally show up just to invite Bai. Bai confidently walks to the lobby, but suddenly the room is hit with a golden aura that almost blinds the students. Bai stands strong amidst all the pressure, and he whips out his dagger, ready to take on whatever it is that has everyone shaking. He concentrates all his abilities into his senses, and he is able to sense when an attack is coming behind him. He blocks the attack with his dagger, leaving a flashing light and clashing sound that almost blinds the students. None of them are able to track Bai and the attacker's movements because of just how fast they are. Just then, the golden aura clears off, and the person behind it shows herself, and it is none other than Anli. Bai is totally in disbelief when he sees the person standing in front of him. At the same time, Anli tells Bai that she is impressed with his quick reaction, which basically means she didn't choose the wrong person to be on her team. While she is smiling about striking gold, Bai is left in shock and is trying to pull himself together. Standing in front of him is the one girl whom he has feelings for in his past life, and he finds it very difficult to close his mouth from the shock that is hitting him hard. And Lee smiles at Bai, saying they have sent loads of invitations to him, but they never got a reply, which is why she personally came. Bai's friends are already worried that Bai might reject Anli face to face. And Lee is still trying to introduce herself when Bai rushes over to hug her, shocking her and everyone else watching. Ziling almost crashes out when he sees this, and Bai whispers into her ear that he has missed her. And Lee is confused while the others who are watching are trying to wake up from what they can only describe as a dream. His friend believes that Bai loves older women, and he is just letting his fantasies come true. Specs then mentions that Anli is not actually an older woman because she skipped grades thanks to her impressive stats. Apparently, she was originally in their class, which makes them classmates. And Lee then pushes Bai back with her aura, asking him if his embrace signifies his acceptance into the elite squad. She mentions that the elite squad is fully funded by the school, and they also have the best resources. She lets him know that there are ways he can get stronger, rather than grinding through the school dungeons after class, and she believes that they might even fight side by side one day. Bai finally reveals his decision not to join the elite squad because he will be leaving the school soon, and he doesn't see a reason to join. Bai then reveals his plan to establish his own guild very soon, and he tells Anli that they are going to get the chance to fight side by side when he does this. Before they can have any further conversation, Anli's vice rushes over to tell her that they need to go because the principal needs them. And Lee then tells Bai that they are going to be meeting at the pilgrimage where they can talk better. As she walks away, the people start to gossip about how confident Bai must be to have rejected Anli's invitation but invited her to his guild instead. The students cannot believe how ambitious Bai is to be talking about creating his own guild when he is not even an adult yet. In addition to Bai getting the highest score in the combat simulation, his decision to hug Anli has left everyone in shock. What's more shocking is that Anli didn't refuse the hug or the offer that he made her. Bai, on the other hand, never imagined that he would run into Anli the way he did because his team in the past life never revealed their backgrounds to themselves. This is why Bai never knew that Anli was in the same school as him, and this almost cost him the very good chance to meet her. Bai smiles, realizing that he just got the best birthday gift of the day. After school, Bai and his friends head to a barbecue store, owned by an old man named Wang. While they are eating, his friends ask him if he is serious about opening a guild and if he really wants to leave the academy. Bai then confesses his plan to stay in the Shenghe Nation after the training pilgrimage. The trio is shocked to hear this coming from him, leaving them to ask if he is planning to open a business or something. Bai simply replies that he wants to stay in the nation because of his studies. Bai mentions his plan to apply for the Shenghe Nation's Divine Academy. Meanwhile, at the Kaibin Hotel, Chief Hongbing, the head of the Divine Guild, just arrived. Upon entering the hotel, the vice captain spots Ling Sheng in the hotel, shocking him, since he's supposed to be locked up. He heads over to Chen Wu, asking him how Ling Sheng got out, and Chen Wu mentions that Ling Sheng paid double bail. Chen Wu lets him know that the captain approved it, so he has nothing to worry about. The vice captain, Liang, is pissed when he hears this, asking Chen Wu why Ling Sheng was brought to Chief Hong's party. Chen Wu subtly tells Liang that since Ling Sheng was kicked out because of something insignificant, he is trying his luck again. Ling Sheng has several ghost crystals, which are highly valuable with him, and he is trying to use them to buy his way back into the guild. Ling Sheng walks toward Hong, but the moment he sets his sight on him, he slaps away the stupid valuable items in his hand, telling him to leave the hall. He calls Ling Sheng an outside dog who is not meant to be around them. Ling Sheng tries packing the gems, telling the captain to try and listen to his explanation. However, Hong Bing grabs him by the shirt, telling him that he doesn't care about his valuables. He tells him to take everything and get out of the hotel at once. In no time, Ling Sheng finds himself getting thrown out of the hotel, ultimately ruining his chance of a comeback. He is thrown to the floor like a dog, and this pisses him off really badly. He angrily gets back on his feet while swearing to kill everyone involved in the humiliation that he just suffered. He is filled with so much rage that it is practically overflowing out of his body. Fueled with rage, he heads to the new apartment that his runaway wife and kid just rented. Unfortunately for Bai Yi's mother, she runs into Ling Sheng outside the apartment while she is out getting groceries. On the other hand, Bai Yi has taken his friends to a barbecue shop to celebrate his birthday. They are having a fun time when the Divine Guild enters the shop, ultimately grabbing everyone's attention. His friend tells him that he is going to be colleagues with the likes of those who just entered the restaurant when he gets into the Divine Academy. His friend corrects himself, saying he might even turn out to be their superior. Bai Yi's friend is sad that they are currently having a farewell meal, but Qian argues against this, saying she is also going to work hard to get into the Divine Academy. Just then, it dawns on Bai Yi that the day is going way too smoothly for him. Specs then suggests that they leave whatever worries they have and enjoy Bai Yi's birthday instead. Bai Yi, on the other hand, is worried because he can feel that something is not right. Meanwhile, Ling Sheng has Bai Yi's mother on the ground, screaming at her for living a comfortable life without him. He believes that she has another person she is going out with, and he screams at her to tell him. Bai Yi's mother panics as Ling Sheng prepares to beat her to death, and even though she has the chance to break the jade to contact her son, she refuses to. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, comment next part in the comment section. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and like the video. Thank you for watching and see you next time again.